Hello, welcome to the Tabletop Sports Network live in Wales. That's right, Nick?
Sunny Wales.
Sunny, rainy Wales. My name's... Yeah, go on, after you.
In the heart of Wales, in Cardiff.
I feel so weird stood up. I just want you to know that.
Okay, I'm sat down. That's why there's the height difference. I'm sat down, guys. So not this short, really.
So welcome to the Tabletop Sports Network. It's a weekend of 40k live coverage. I'm really excited. Nick, are you excited?
Absolutely. It's the first 40k coverage on the TSN, so it's going to be super awesome to see these games in action.
It is. It's really fun. It's a very small field, intimate. It allows us to do a load of tech. So big shout out to the Vale Renegade guys for inviting us over to put to try some of our stuff out. Which is very exciting. I'm Rob. This is Nick.
Hello.
We'll be your hosts for this round, which is cool. So ITC 2,000 points.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, ITC 2,000 points. The old ITC, because with the new ITC stuff coming out, is it new? Kind of the same?
Well, there was a couple of PDFs floating around about the new ITC rules. One seemed to be some sort of strange bamboozle about a different system.
That's not the one. That's not the one. Right. What we've got, but we've got some standards. So we've got a very exciting event. We're here at, as you can see, Firestorm Gaming Centre in Cardiff. It's a really cool venue, really nice. Load of big events happen. We were here last year with the Honest Wargamer for the Six Nations. This year, though, we're here for Vale Renegades. Yeah. Someone is going to win. The real question, Nick, there we go. That's some of the venue that you can see there.
And you can see the other host for you today, Mr. Tom Layton. He's table bossing today. But we'll also be cutting to him every now and then for some updates from the table.
Yes, we will do. So it's a really nice venue. But Nick, the real question for this weekend is, I went on the 40k Stats website, 40kstats.com yesterday. I was looking at some of the stats and I was like, okay, who do I think is going to win? I think the real question is, what type of Marines are going to win?
Which flavour?
Yeah, which flavour of Marines are going to win the event? Have you got your what's your money on?
If I was a betting man, well, obviously it would be Iron Hands. They're the
front runners.
The front runners at the minute.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of Raven Guard Marine players here as well, with the classic Centurions.
There is.
So they might be in for a shout as well.
I won't lie to you, there are two Orc armies, one of which Tom Layton, our table boss, has picked for the Wooden Spoon of the event.
Wooden Spoon Award, yeah.
Wooden Spoon of the event. We wanted to put them on the stream, but they more than likely are not going to win because they're up against Iron Hands round one.
No, but they win. They will win our hearts.
Yeah, but the real question is this weekend is not will Space Marines win, because they will. The real question is will they lose sometimes? And that's what we're going to cover this weekend.
Yeah.
Will we watch some games where Space Marines won't win? And in a mirror match,
we're all winners. We're all winners in that scenario.
So we're doing something new today. It's going to be quite interesting. Stick with us. Thank you for joining us, Hermanista and Murpus Clockwork. I can see you guys there. If you are in the Twitch chat, thanks for being here. Let us know what you're thinking of the event. So Nick, we're going to go to our first of 3 tables. Is what we're going to do.
Yep.
So there we go. So in our first game, we've got Tau. We've got Simon Crockford with his Tau. And as you can see right here, a giant supremacy suit, ready to whomp all over Thomas's Astra Militarum.
Yeah, he's just decided one big toy is enough. He's got some chaff to protect him. He's got lots of Kroot.
How dare you? Kroot aren't chaff. Kroot are for the greater good. They're a race that are there to make sure that everything... they're there to help the Tau.
They're there to make sure that they die first, and then the Tau supremacy suit survives.
I don't think that they are there. So right. So then also over onto table 2, the next game that we got lined up, we've got Raven Guard. We've got Taff Jones with his Raven Guard, who we've just heard from our table boss are going first. Going first. Taff's got to be very happy about that because statistically that means he's won the game.
Hashtag the first turn problem.
Hashtag the first.
And he's got a lot of Centurions in his list, so he's pushing them further forward, and he's actually using the Master of Ambush Warlord trait because he's going first. He's redeployed his Warlord and one of the units of Grav Centurions further up the field, so they're going to get to move. So this is the unit of Centurions over here that he's pushed forward. I think there looks like there's possibly some scouts hiding behind this rock formation here that he's going to go and assault. But Chris here, he's deployed most of his bunker behind this big line of sight blocking terrain here. Oh, bit of a wobble on the table cam there.
And then if we go to table 3, there we go. We've got George Carley and with his Necrons, who we've heard are going first, up against Iron Hands.
Now, this is the situation that I would say that the hashtag first turn problem is probably unlikely to be true, because he is going first, but he's playing Iron Hands. we streamed a game recently, a couple of weeks ago, with Iron Hands versus Necrons. The Necrons actually were triumphant in that game, but this could be a different situation here, because the Iron Hands list is a bit more tuned this time. He's got some Scorpius and some Whirlwinds at the back. He's got lots of Intercessors, which is pretty classic at this stage. And I think he's got a Leviathan buried in amongst those in there.
Yes, this Iron Hand formation looking very, very scary. What's really cool about this Necron list, we're going to go through the lists in a moment, recycle through that in a bit, is that there are 30 death marks.
There are, yes. The Necron list that we can see on the screen at the minute has 30 death marks in 3 units of 10. They're a really interesting unit because they can deep strike. They're like snipers, but they have bolt guns. He's taken the Mephirit Dynasty, which gives him -1 to hit at half range. But the death marks have a particularly interesting deep strike mechanic. So they can basically piggyback on the back of your opponent's deep strike. So if you bring, let's say, a drop pod down with some Grav Devastators in, the death marks can come down at the same time, 9 inches away, but within 12 inches, and shoot at that unit that deep struck, getting a shot in your opponent's turn, and then they're there for your turn to move and shoot. But it doesn't look like his opponent today with Iron Hands has much deep striking. It looks like all of his infantry is on the board, so I think we'll just see some standard deep striking from the death marks in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate he's against that. He's against his Iron Hand bunker here.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to use what I thought was I think it's a very clever use of those death marks. That overcommittal to those. That overcommittal to that, to that level of anti-deep strike is quite clever. If we jump back over onto table 1, though, we've just heard, quite excitingly, we'll get that overlay updated. Table 1 going first. The tower going first. Does that mean they're going to win?
Does he have enough output to clear all the Astra Militarum? He's got a lot of bodies, has Thomas. But we'll see if the Tower Supremacy suit has enough output to kill it. He's got lots of anti-tank weaponry. So he's armed with some burst cannons. He's got a pulse ordnance multi-driver, which is macro 6. Which I believe does extra damage to Titanic vehicles.
It does, and he's against none, so positive.
But he's got lots of Basilisk and Lehman Russ and a Manticore.
Yeah, so this bunker that you can see in this top left-hand corner, this is where all of I can see some Manticore. I can see a Manticore there and some Basilisk. So they're going to be looking to do. They're going to be looking to do that long-range fire support over here, and then this non-battle suit vehicle here is going to be trying to punch through. But does it have the body? Does it have the weight of shots to clear all of these? Am I right in thinking that that's 70 guardsmen?
I think it's about 70 guardsmen, yeah. I do feel that the Tower Supremacy suit should probably just focus on the vehicles first, killing this Manticore, the Basilisks, killing the things that can kill him, and then it could just ignore the troops until... Once the tanks are dead, it can kill the troops, because the troops aren't going to touch it. So if it can get into a position where it can't be killed, it'll just reign supreme.
Yeah. I think if it can though.
Yes, but the danger of that is if he just leaves the troops, Thomas is just going to push forward and take all the objectives. So he might fall behind on the objective game and board control.
I think so, especially if we look at what Simon has decided to go for his secondaries as well. As you can see, he's got Butcher's Bill, the Reaper, and he's got Big Game Hunter. So those vehicles definitely going to be one of the targets, as you can see here. But that means he's got to get there, and that's the real question. Yeah.
So he's chosen Reaper, obviously very good because there's lots of guardsmen to kill. Big Game Hunter, he has to kill the tanks to win the game and stop himself dying, like we just said. So that's a very good secondary to pick, because you're going to have to do that to win the game anyway. And he looks like he's picked Butcher's build because he feels pretty confident he's going to be able to kill 2 tanks a turn with his Supremacy Suit. He also does have a Cold Star Commander hiding here, which is rocking 4 fusion guns. So at some point we're going to see that fusion star, the Cold Star Commander, jump forward and just melt 1 or 2 tanks. But interestingly, the Astra Militarum list has really cool little units. I think there's one here, I think there's one here, and I think there's one here. These are what Tom described last night as RC cars which explode.
Oh, little go faster zoom bots.
Yes, little zoom bots.
Can I drive my car fast enough to blow up vehicles? That's the question.
Yeah, so these are tiny little tanks on Forge World.
This would be like me as a kid when I stuck a fire rocket to stuck a fire rocket to a little vehicle, sent it forward, and had a laugh.
Had it firing.
Well, let's find out about what they do in a minute, Nick.
Yes.
Right. Let's go over now to our infield reporter, Tom. He's going to be telling us what's happening in our game with the Necrons on table 3.
Very exciting.
Hi guys, so I've been having a look at some of these games in depth, and what I've been mainly looking at is this Necron game on table 3. So the Necrons have got first turn, and they're having a bit of a shoot at some of these Intercessors. They are looking to remove as many of these models as possible. He has taken Kingslayer, so he's looking to try and remove that Chaplain Dread to get 4 points from that for every 2 wounds he removes. However, Jay has also managed to pick Mark for Death, so what he's looking to kill are the 2 Doomsday Arcs that are sat at the back of the board, and the Tomb Blades. He's picked the Tomb Blades because he knows those things are going to be coming forward, and he also knows that the Destroyer is going to be coming forward as well, but he's neglected to pick those and instead going for the Annihilation Barge because he thinks that might be an easy thing to remove with its short range and what have you. That is now currently perching on the top of the ruin at the top of there. I've also been having a look at table 2, and if you actually look at the board on table 2 from above, you can't see there are 5 scouts that are hiding underneath the L just in front of the Dark Angel's army. And Taff has moved all of his Centurions around the side of the L. So it looks like he's going to charge those, try and secure an early kill, but I think that might be a bait, because it means that now he's not able to try and go for a big charge right into the center of the army. He could try and charge it, slingshot in him, and tag as many units as possible to try and stop him from shooting if he wants to, but I'm not sure he's going to go for that here. It doesn't look like he's really made for that move. So we'll have a look and see what's going on with them. I'm going to head around the table, see what else is going on.
Okay, welcome back. That is very exciting. How do you feel about that move on table 2, Nick?
Yeah, so obviously, like Tom said, he's using the scouts that are in the L here to get a charge through, because this big L is a ruin, so the infantry of the Centurions can pass through that ruin freely, like as if they were ghosts. Destroy those scouts, get his kill for the turn, but then, like Tom said, he wants to get into this infantry block here to stop it shooting and retaliate. Chris does have 3 land speeders that you can see here that are characters, so they're Talon Masters, and then the special character land speeder I can't remember the name of right now, but they've got lots of heavy bolters and assault cannons, so they will still be able to pull back and shoot. But will Taff be able to get a wrap on any of these guys here?
So can we talk about before we talk about anything else, Nick, just how great the scenery looks? Yeah, it's a really nice looking board.
Yeah,
I'm very much enjoying being here. It's very fun. So, Raven Guard, Taff, secondaries. He decided to go for Headhunter, old school, King of the Hill. Where's his first strike going to come from for old school? That's the real question.
So I think Tom said there's some cheeky scouts hiding in here, or there's there we go. I think we can see the scouts there.
So so we've just heard that the scouts that are just being shot at have just had to roll 14 saves. So that might be the answer to that first strike answer. Yes. This little bunker here, are they just gonna die? Listen, I don't believe Space Marines. I don't believe Space Marines should cower. I don't think that these genetically enhanced super soldiers should be using a wall for protection. But apparently they're going to need to, because a whole bunch of Centurions are going to come in. Is this just game? Is this just
if Taff can get if he gets a big charge and he can get around here, and if he declares, because he can declare, if these are within 12 of the Centurions, he can declare a charge on them, and because of this L, they can't shoot him, so he can declare it for basically free. If you can get a big enough charge,
but this doesn't work like a building. These can't go through.
I think generally these are played as ruins, so infantry can float through the walls as if they were ghosts. That's generally how these things are played, I believe. So I don't think Taff would have put these here if he couldn't charge through. So if he can get a long enough charge, maybe he doesn't need to kill these scouts. He can just bypass them because he's got his kill already on these scouts here. If he can get a long enough charge, he can get round. Maybe he even fights twice with those Centurions to kill all the intercessors and then get into the meaty bits, which he wants to, which are the characters on land speeders.
So, going over to table 3, we've just found out what's happened with the Necrons. They've just ended their shooting phase. Turn 1, they've gone first.
Must have been devastating.
Hashtag the first turn problem. And in the first turn shooting phase, they opened up all their guns, and all they were able to do in the first turn was clear out six Marines.
Oh,
that's
dear.
Nick. I just want you to know that's not enough.
No.
That's not enough.
No, that's not even a whole
He needs to
tactical
do
squad.
more.
I presume that the Iron Hands player Jay would have used tactical.
Prepared positions.
Prepared positions.
He would have been. He would have prepared positions. That's what I call my morning coffee. Basically, I walk in, I say one decaf prepared positions, please, and then I move forward. Oh my God! Let's just jump over to table 1 very quickly. I want to go back to Necrons in a minute, but in table 1, the Tau Commander, that is not that, although that is our Zoomy boy. We'll go back to him in a minute. Our Tau Commander, who is now here, he started here, he's another Zoomy boy.
Yep.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you've got a demolition vehicle.
I see your Zoomy boy. How's that with this?
40 inches, and then he's taken out at the back of the board. I'm not sure if our Peter Z will get that yet, but at the back of the board, we've gone and lost that Manticore, which has scored him surely one of those big game hunter points.
Yeah, it's got one of those big game hunter points, and the Manticore was actually pretty good at taking out the Tau Supremacy suit because it has 4 rockets that are D6 shots each, Strength 9, AP 3, D6 damage. So they would have done some real good damage to the Supremacy suit.
Yeah, they did some incredible work. I'm genuinely very impressed by that. But is that? I mean, this is a suicide run, right?
It is a suicide. He's never going to survive that.
But surely the Manticore. It feels like the Manticore to me. Great decision by Simon. The Manticore was the key threat to the Supremacy suit. So he's like, I'm going to trade off, lose the commander, get him out. The ability to move 40 inches and just zip over those screens. The thing is Thomas had the ability to zone that out. He's clumped up these in little blocks here, and he could have strung this out, so it would have been almost impossible for that Tau Commander to drop into that area. Are we seeing?
True.
Do you think that's a weakness, or do you think this was bait?
It could have been bait.
No way. There's no way he's putting a Manticore at the back of the board, and then he's going fly across to me. This is my bait. That would be some top tier baiting by Tom.
Yeah, that'd be true. But it does. If he has used it as bait, he is guaranteed that he's going to get a kill, and he can try and get that kill quite cheaply because he's got lots of guard there with lots of las guns. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
can
can we
fire all into the Cold Stark?
Listen? I want to talk more about the Supremacy, more about the Zoomy boys. But on table 2 now, those Centurions, potentially the end of the game on table 2 are doing that big.
They're doing the charge.
Yeah. So that's that big brick of 6 Centurions, assault Centurions in combat. Here we go. They have. Trelly's asking in the chat if Tau have anything like Fire and Fade. I'm pretty certain they don't.
Okay, so they.
Oh, so you can do it via a Warlord trait, but he doesn't have it, so that's going back to our Tau game. This Centurion charge, though, I just want to see. Look at the Taff there. He's even got his name on, so people know who's on the stream. It was a 9-inch charge. 9-inch charge going in there in hitting, which is, he's going to... I wonder if he CP re-rolled it. So he's gone into the intercessors, he's gone into the characters, the aggressors.
And the characters.
So just a flat 9. No CP re-roll to achieve that. That's looking serious.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be fighting twice here. He's just going to he's going to get him in. If he doesn't fight twice, he might kill the intercessors, maybe kill a character, but then they're possibly just going to die in return. So he just wants to get maximum value out of them this turn.
Well, if you look here, like he's returned fire. I mean, obviously these flies can fly over and they can start to take it out, but a large portion of the shots here. What else have we got located at the back?
I think that's just more scouts, Rob. They're not going to do much to the Centurions. There's some Centurions of toughness 5, 2+ save, 3 wounds. So those scouts with bolters aren't going to do much damage to them. So the Centurions, they got a 4-inch move, so that's why it's really big to get a really good charge and use the Raven Guard tactics to get them up into your opponent's grill. Because movement 4 is pretty debilitating sometimes. So they have 3 attacks each, 4 on the Sergeant, but obviously with the new shock assault rules, those Centurions are going to have 4 attacks each. There'll be weapon skill 3, strength 10 because they're times 2, AP 4, damage 3, so that's just going to munch right through any intercessors. And if he does get his hands on those land speeders, that's going to be pretty devastating. And obviously Taff has also gone for King of the Hill, which is a rarely seen secondary objective. And so King of the Hill, you have to get a unit within the centre of the board basically and stand there. So he looks like he's picked these eliminators there just to sit there because they can shoot from behind walls, so they're pretty safe there, so they can just sit there plinking away and scoring some secondary points.
It's amazing. It's you really do have to look at the introduction of these very synonymous now as they're known, Nova Elves. The Nova Elves. And what they do to competitive 40k realistically, they change the shape, and we're seeing, in my opinion, army lists not abusing, that's not the right, making the most
knowing that that's going to be in the environment that they're going into. So like we've seen Chris here, he's got this he's built a little castle here, but he's built it right behind the L, so if he was playing against a shooting army, that would be quite a good position to be in. But unfortunately he's against Taff with his combat Raven Guard, who's doesn't matter about shooting, he's just gone in on done a good charge.
So if we jump over to table 3, we have just found out that Nick, and I'm very sorry about this, we saw what happened in Necron turn 1. Necrons unloaded, they got the first turn, hashtag the first turn problem. They shot, they fired, they killed 6 Marines. However, the Iron Hands, not all of their shooting phase, just some, they've already wiped out this Annihilation Barge.
Not the Annihilation Barge.
The Annihilation Barge was annihilated by the Leviathan Dreadnought. It did some devastating...
the bad guy of 40k at the minute, that Leviathan Dreadnought.
He is the bad guy of 40k at the moment, a Leviathan really Dreadnought. The only way he could be better is if he had a prayer or a litany. Oh, wow. And that was only half a Leviathan killed the... killed the Annihilation Barge.
He's split firing now. He's split firing and showing off. Just showing off.
He's those they are so
Stop
good.
It, Leviathan, they're already dead.
They're like the 80s action movie with Schwarzenegger. He's just got
firing.
2 M40s. He's just like one.
He's hip firing.
He's hip firing, and so he's just wiped out 4 more Tomb Blades here. Nick, really, we really got to ask ourselves in this situation: is there really anything the Necron army can do in this game?
I think the Necron army would probably benefit from a bit more line of sight blocking terrain. I mean, I think he's got some ruins here, but they're quite small and spread out. He probably could have just hide these Doomsday Arcs here and maybe there, but also at the same time he needs line of sight to shoot himself. So I think maybe what he needs to do is just poke it out, so he's got the nib out, so he can shoot some intercessors over there, or something like that, and then when he's getting shot back, he's getting cover. However, with the Space Marine Devastator Doctrine and all the high AP weapons that Iron Hands have access to, even if you cover, because they've only got a 4+ save, going to a 3 isn't particularly beneficial, and also Jay has some whirlwinds at the back. We can just see him anyway.
Okay, so if we jump over to table 2, we just heard some hot gossip coming in. So the now ever famous, now a lot of people describe him as a smash captain. That's what people will call a Smash Captain, a jump pack captain. But this is a highly trained super soldier, who has ascended through the ranks. And
many trials.
Yeah, he started out with an intercessor, with a bolt rifle, maybe even a stalker pattern bolt rifle. And then eventually someone said to him, "You're good enough to be a lieutenant." And then he was like, "Oh, that's wicked. I've got a sword and a gun." And then they were like, "No, do you know what? Scrap all that. Yeah, you're now a captain." And he was like, "Thank you." And he's like, "What weapon do I get?" And he's like, "One hammer. One thunder hammer."
That's one hammer.
One hammer. And that thunder hammer Smash Captain is in. He's in over here, and he is doing the Lord's work.
I think Taff Smash Captain might actually be a different type of Smash Captain. I think he's got the Teeth of Terror.
Teeth of Terror? He didn't get given a thunder hammer?
No, he's just like, "I like the sword, man.
He liked the
Can
sword.
I keep the sword?" They're like, "Okay, here's a fancier sword, though."
Wow, okay.
Befitting of your rank.
That's a nice upgrade. So you guys can slowly start to see the list in the chat there.
Okay, so we're just hearing that table 2, the one we're looking at right here. So the Grav Centurion, the Assault Centurion, got in here. Then the Aggressors, 2 CP after they fought to interrupt. So Aggressors actually have Power Fists, and they've got some buff characters here. So they might actually do a few wounds to these Centurions. Is that a mistake from Taff? Did he fight with those Centurions first? We're not sure. He's lost one, it looks like. So that's a bit of a blow for Taff there.
It is a huge blow. If you can come back to us, like if we look at what's been happening, if we look at what's happening at the rest of the event, I think is very much the wonderful staff here at Firestorm Games providing us with some water.
Stay hydrated.
You stay hydrated all the time. You obviously can check out all the stats on Down Under Pairings. They're using the Down Under Pairings software to organise the event. I think that's a very great decision by the people here at Vale Renegades. So Adeptus Astartes represent 26% of the whole field. So obviously we're covering these 3 games, but if we're looking around the rest of the room, 26%. That's pretty standard now, but that blows my mind, right?
Yeah, I think it used to be maybe the same percentage Yunari when they were back in the day.
Oh, well, so it reminds me really of last year of Imperial Knights.
Yes.
But then if we look at the stats now for how Space Marines, especially Imperial Fist, but Space Marines themselves, perform against Imperial Knights, they've got like a 68% win rate against Imperial Knights. Yeah. So if you're bringing Knights, you're losing to Marines. So I know, whereas previously they were 25% of the map.
At this point, who isn't losing to Marines?
Well, the only people who are drawing Marines is Drukhari.
Drukhari.
So Imperium and Mixed Imperium makes up another 15%. So in total, just the forces of good. I'm doing quotation marks because obviously it's 40k. But we'll have some live stats updates for you later on. But let's go back to the games. It's an interesting general environment really for all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're back on table 1, and the Tau.
There seems to be a lot less tanks than there used to be.
There were a lot less
few moments
tanks
ago.
Yeah. So the Tau shooting phase, we're able to deal with that Manticore as we discussed, and now we're into Thomas's first turn. What do you think he's going to be able to do here? He obviously has, as you can see here, he's got these mortars. Did he hear that that Thunderfire cannons were good and decided to bring the human versions?
He did, yeah. So quad launchers, they're almost as good as Thunderfire cannons. They have the
46 shots.
The ballistics, yeah, they've got more shots. But the ballistic skill is worse and the AP is worse.
And also the strength is worse.
I think
they're strength 3.
Are they strength 3? I think
yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they're strength 3 if they're the quad heavy launchers.
We'll double check that for you guys.
That I think of. I'm pretty certain that's correct. We'll see what you guys are saying in the chat. Hope you guys are enjoying it, by the way. Thanks for being here. Diffie Down Under, what is going on? Loving the shirts. Thanks very much. We'll send you one.
They are strength 5. So
no way.
They are, yeah. So
are they?
46 strength 5, AP 1, damage 1.
Never mind.
Not as good range as the Thunderfire cannon though.
But the real question is, let's stick on that. So as you can see, this tank's hiding here. But the real question for me, where's the? There he is. There's one of the Zoomy boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is our our demolitions vehicle.
We finally find out what they do. So it's a Cyclops demolition vehicle.
Do you think it is going to be they're going to be able to strap a bunch of explosives to an RC car in an entire universe where even travelling can make me go mental and go into a demonic possession? And then I decide.
I would rather strap some explosives to to a robot rather than a human being. That'd be much better. Less chance of the explosives being taken over by a demon there. So the Cyclops demolition vehicle, it's on 4 draws, 60 points, moves 10, weapon skill, ballistic skill are basically irrelevant, strength 4, it's toughness 6, wounds 4, 3 up save. But the unique thing about it is that at the start of any of your shooting phase, you can choose to explode it. So the range is D6, it automatically hits the target, and it's 2d6, strength 9, AP 2, damage D3. So it looks like Thomas is lining up one of the explodey bots to try and kill this Cold Star commander. But I think what Thomas has also got to do now, I think he's got to play the long game. He's got to try and get hold more. I think so. Maybe because he's lost a lot of tanks, maybe he needs to work on killing these crew first. Then he's got more board control than his opponent. He can just work on holding more. Maybe killing more in the long term, but that's going to be very difficult with the supremacy suit there.
Very, very difficult. So I think we're going to go over now to our infield reporter, Mr. Tom Layton. He is going to let us know what's happening on table 2. Because on table 2, there's an exciting assault phase. We saw those Raven Guard Assault Centurions jump in. So we're going to jump over to him now.
So on table 1 and table 3, we've had a turn each. On table 2, we haven't quite finished a turn because we've had one very long, very convoluted combat going on. The Centurions and the Smash Captain with the Teeth of Terror have charged straight into that massive brick of Dark Angels. The Smash Captain went straight in, did absolutely nothing to it through that 4+ invulnerable save that Azrael gives his units. That means that now the Dark Angels have been able to interrupt, they've been able to have a swing, and they took out the Smash Captain and one Intercessor, one Centurion even, with their big power fist, their rerolls to hit from Azrael, and their reroll ones to wound from the Talon Master. That means that the Centurions then swung back, they managed to kill 2 of the aggressors, and they managed to kill 2 of the Intercessors. The Intercessors are now having a swing back at the Centurions, but I have a feeling that Taff is going to spend some CP at the end of this phase to fight against other Centurions. We'll see if that happens. I'll throw it back to the guys.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Good. Really, really interesting. The decision there to swing back, lose the Smash Captain, especially, that's the thing about those invulnerable saves. And it's why you sometimes see people rocking a lot of those Custodes armies. Yeah. If you can roll them, you're just in the game. Yeah,
you're at the mercy of the dice gods with a 3+ invulnerable save. Sometimes they will favour you, sometimes they won't.
Yeah, so Azrael, I think, generates a 5+ invulnerable save bubble around him, or maybe it's a 4+ invulnerable save. A 4+ invulnerable save around him. So that means, obviously, only half that damage is going through. But to lose the Smash Captain, very much, if we take the parity for what we've seen on table 1, if we go back to table 1 for a second, we saw that Cold Star Commander. I wonder how he's faring. There he is. And we've seen some definite movement in this game. We saw the Cold Star Commander jump in, take out the Manticore. So that's really cool. But now,
I can't see the RC car. It looks like it has exploded, and there's a little tiny wound dice there. So I think the Cold Star Commander has taken some damage.
It looks like our custom dice tray is now in effect as well. Those players being... it's one of those things that we're just letting players use it if they do or don't want to. It turns out the players want to. So they're rolling out some dice. Very fun. Eventually we'll get that used a little bit more. Maybe we'll get some live updates on what's being rolled for as we see it. You dice junkies will be so turned on right now watching those dice roll. Oh, I've seen a 5. I've seen a 3. I am real excited.
All the numbers. Right, so the Cyclops did blow up near this Cold Star Commander, but did nothing. So now all the guardsmen are trying to do the job of the RC car, basically.
Oh dear. All right, so all of the guardsmen, are they going to be able to punch through? I think that Cold Star Commander is toughness 5, right?
Yes, I believe they are.
So they're going to be wounding them on 5s. That's a lot of shots. If they've been given the right orders, obviously at this stage they're going to be They're going to be firing again and again. We are suffering a realm quake. Here we go, the guardsman. Look at this. Look at all those hits there, like rolling to wound against him. He's done quite well. That's not bad, those guardsmen. Come on, little fellas, you can do this. Some saves now. Oh, that's a terrible roll.
That is an awful roll.
That's an awful roll. Thomas, I'm so sorry. We just saw the cold star taken off him. An awful save roll.
My word.
Oh, my word. That was... I like how we tuned in for that exact
moment. It's the observer effect. We've disturbed reality by watching.
That was awful. All of them were 1s and 2s apart from that 1-6. So yeah, the Cold Star Commander lifted. You would have hoped he'd have survived a little bit longer, but wow.
Yeah. So how many tanks does Simon have? Does Thomas have left? He's got a couple of Lehman Russ at the back, or these Basilisk, I think. Some Lehman Russ. There we go.
Okay, so jumping over to table 3, our infield reporter has got some new information that we're going to have a listen to.
Yeah, so over on table 3, we're actually into turn 2 now. The Marine shooting phase was really effective. It removed the Tomb Blades, it removed the Annihilation Barge, it's removed the 4 squad of Immortals, and it's removed another half of the squad of Immortals. The issue that he's now going to have is the Necrons now have a bit of a go turn going on. They have got 30 death marks now dropping down in front of this Marine army, as well as the ability to Veil of Darkness all of those destroyers at the back of the board. They also have a stratagem that makes the destroyers very, very effective. It looks like it's going to be veiling those over now, allowing them to get extra hits and extra wounds with rerolls. Really effective. It's going to be a big turn for him. Let's see how much damage you can do with those death marks and those destroyers.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Table Boss. Wow. Okay. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that game. I want to talk about that. So these 30 death marks, we've bigged them up.
We have bigged them up.
We've bigged them up. But
I hope we're not setting them up for a fail.
To describe them, you described them to me yesterday. Rob, they've just got bolters and they suck.
They do just have bolters. So they're snipers, but it's just a bolter profile. So it's great because you can rapid fire with them if you're at close range.
What a nice looking army.
Yeah, it looks cool, man.
Yeah.
Bit disappointed with these see-through bases. I don't like seeing see-through bases on flying things. No. No,
you see straight through them. So anyway, the death marks.
Yeah,
they're
so
snipers.
they're snipers, but they got a bolter. They got the benefit over a normal sniper rifle is that they can rapid fire at short range, and they do have a mechanic to get there because they can deep strike. But at the end of the day, they are just strength 4. You've got no real way to buff their wound rolls with Necrons. You can buff hits all you want. But the only buff to wound rolls you have is through destroyers, and that only affects destroyers. So the destroyer stratagem, like Tom just mentioned, or destroyer lords have a reroll 1 buff, but it only affects other destroyers. So strength 4 with no buff isn't going to do much damage, particularly to these Marines who are also toughness 4. They are Mephrit, so it's AP 1 if they're at half range. But again, 4+ save, 1 damage. You're going to be relying on getting a really good roll and those mortal wounds.
Because these are all intercessors, right? So this line that we normally see strung out, that's 2 wounds each. That's actually, on the tabletop, fairly rare. Like, if you're looking at board control for wound percentage, so if you look at a unit of guardsmen and the way that they're strung out, often, you're always looking at 1 wound, 5 up save, right? So what you're currently looking at for quite a large area of board control. That's a lovely cinematic shot, by the way. Thank you very much, Scrivs.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. Yeah, what you're seeing here from this line, it's fine to just keep it like that, is more wounds with a great save than you normally traditionally. If you're looking at those top-down views and you're looking at it, there's actually a lot more wound save, which I feel is something people don't really take into account.
Yeah, so 20 guardsmen is... So I think 10 guardsmen is 40 points.
Yeah.
So 20 guardsmen is 80 points, which is roughly the same as 5 intercessors. So it's 20 wounds for 10 wounds, but the armor save is much better. So the guardsmen have a bigger board presence.
There's the toughness pip as well.
Yeah, so the guardsmen will have a bigger board presence, but the intercessors are going to stay on the board longer, you imagine.
Yeah. And take up way more space, which I think is that key. And I think these destroyer lords that you can see here are going to have a real issue punching through that. That's also not even taking into account that horrific Leviathan that we've seen already destroy an Annihilation Barge in that center. And so here it destroyed an Annihilation Barge, and then it destroyed 6 Tomb Blades as well. So
Yeah, I'm not sure what his plan is to deal with the Leviathan, because the Iron Hands have that cogitated martyrdom stratagem that you can use to help keep him alive, sacrificing these intercessors, which it may have just activated there. I think the destroyers, the Necron Annihilation barges here and the destroyers are his main way of dealing with the Leviathan, but he may just choose to try and deal with everything else first. And then he's just got to deal with the Leviathan.
But there we are. The Dreadnoughts for days. The conjugated martyrdom. Dreadnoughts are the terror currently of. Got some cool card. The terror of 40k at the moment. I mean, Dreadnoughts of all types, but Iron Hands Dreadnoughts. If you're watching this and you're even remotely interested in 40k, I don't even need to tell you. The conversation's almost null at this point. Yeah.
And there you go, Chaplain Dreadnoughts, flavour of the month as well, because they're just naturally a character. Because when Iron Hands came out, you could make infinite amounts of Dreadnoughts
the flavour
characters.
of the month is now Grey Knights.
Oh, okay.
I just need you to know that.
The tides have changed.
Yeah, if you're running the Tom Layton Grey Knights list. The Tom Layton Grey Knight list, which we saw do very well at Beachhead Brawl this weekend, being run by some other media celebrities. And then, a really good, but no Grey Knights here in representation, very interestingly.
No.
Obviously, at Vale Renegades. You can check all the lists for this event at the Down Under Pairings Network.
You sure can.
And the link
you
is
can
in
check
the chat.
that on your web browser.
You can check that on your web browser.
Not just on your mobile phone. How
For
great
free.
is that?
For free.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. Well done. Right, so jumping over to let's get an update. I think we're going to get an update from one of the other tables. We're also going to ask our tech guy whether or not our automated tables are working. He may or may not know. Let's find out. He can bring it up, give it a try. The answer would be no. That was a terrible way to test it, Scrivo. I just want you to know that. If you guys are interested, by the way, in seeing any of the lists that that are out there, I very much want to see the Orc lists.
Absolutely. I think there's a Boomdacker Snazwagon in the mix.
But he is against Iron Hands. So that's. Okay. Absolutely. So back to this tower game.
So it looks like we've probably finished the Astra Militarum turn. He's moved his. You can see he's used these L's here to try and block line of sight to a lot of his infantry from the Supremacy Suit there. He's hidden this tank here. He's hidden his Basilisks here. So he's hoping not to take any more tank casualties, but I reckon the Tau Supremacy Suit will be able to just nick this one here, maybe kill that. But the Tau player doesn't have much board presence, Rob.
Yeah, so we found that out. We're going to get some info from our table boss about the Tau game. We are into Astra Militarum's turn. We previously obviously saw that Cold Star Battlesuit Commander taken out. A terrible dice roll by Thomas. Thomas got to be a little bit upset about that. But really,
you've got to not let those bad dice rolls get you on tilt. You don't want to get hung up on those dice rolls. Dice rolls are a thing you can't control. You can't control dice rolls. Just try and control what you can control, like your movement, your positioning, your choices of what you target. Don't let yourself get affected by bad dice rolls.
Yeah, so in this shooting phase for Astra Militarum, that's where we are. First turn taken by Tau. They took out a Manticore, and now we've seen a Cold Star Battlesuit go down, and we just saw 9. We've seen 9 of these protective drones taken out. Ooh. He's now shooting at the Supremacy Suit,
hoping through the drone wall.
Yeah, hoping to pass wounds. Hoping to push them into the drones, take them out. So looking for this turn to clear out this drone wall so we can slowly start chipping away at the Supremacy Suit. Unfortunately, though, there are four more drones in Deep Strike that he's going to be able to bring in.
Yeah, so that's quite a smart play, because your opponent could just take out all your drones. So what he's doing is he's sort of drip feeding those drones in. So at least on turn 2 and 3, he has some drones there for protection from what I imagine he's probably going to save those for the Basilisks, and the Lehman Russ, because they've got higher damage weapons, so we can just bounce those off to the drones to avoid the D6 or D3 damage weapons.
Yeah, he's gonna really. I mean, there's 30 wounds. I think there's 30 wounds on this supremacy suit. I think that's right.
I can check that for you, Rob.
I do own one. I want you to know, fully painted, ready to rock. But I think 30 wounds only at this stage.
You're absolutely bang on the money, Rob. It's 30 wounds with a 3+ save. There's no invulnerable on this. I don't think Tau have any invulnerable saves because they rely heavily on the
Not
drones. Not moving and the drones. do we think this is going to move this game, Rob?
I do not think it's going to be. Can we just also look at the score as well? Simon managed to rack out 4 points in his first turn, which is obviously exciting. 5 points, sorry, in his first turn. So jumping over to table 2, our table boss has got some new information about how that devastating first turn combat has gone, and whether or not Chris's Dark Angels in response are going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, so this game is actually looking like a little bit on a knife edge, despite the fact that the Raven Guard got first turn, which is normally so effective. The issue that we've had is that the Centurions haven't really done huge amounts of damage, although a lot of command points have been spent to try and keep various characters alive. A command point reroll specifically being employed to keep Asmodai alive by allowing him to reroll his armor save. What we're looking at now is we're looking at the Dark Angels being able to spread out across the board and really assert some board control and get some extra points for things like the hold more objectives. But also, you've got a lot of things coming down still for the Dark Angels army. You've got another squad, sorry, Dark Angels, but Raven Guard, my mistake. We've still got 4 Centurions coming down the squad there, a character, 2 squads of snipers, and some scouts, all coming down later on in the game. So by fanning out like this, what you're really trying to do is trying to push that army back into a corner, push it towards the side of the board where it really can't control pressure around the center of the board, so you can dictate what you can and can't hit without any screening issues for your shorter range weapons. That's pretty much what's going on right now. We're going to look and see how that works out. There's been a lot of thinking going on behalf of Dark Angels this turn, but he needs to also remove that existing squad of Centurions in the center.
Thank you very much, Table Boss. I think Tom's analysis there realistically is correct, and you can see why Chris is going to be taking so much time in making this decision. It's one of those things that Taft's done really well in his first turn. He's been super aggro, and he's given Chris... Basically, he's put the decision-making on Chris's shoulders. Yeah, I mean, obviously Taft made the decision to go in, but what he's done is he's put that intense level of pressure on early doors. Chris now has got to make those decisions, and the wrong decision could put him down the wrong path. And I'm sure Taft's trying to give nothing away poker face.
He's got a lot of fires to fight. He's got this raging fire here of the Assault Centurions that have got right up in his grill, but the other fire is imminent. It's the deep striking units that Tom just mentioned a minute ago, so that's why he's measuring lots of 9-inch ranges just to see how far back he can push the Raven Guard. Oh look, he's zipping one of his Landspeeder characters up. It looks like he wants to kill these Eliminators here.
I think that's a good decision, because as we already heard you say earlier on, one of the things that those are going to do is they're going to just sit there plinking away for the turn. So he's looking to... And
they're also scoring, helping Taft score the King of the Hill objective that he took.
So, really interestingly, Nick, we we talked about this on the drive up here to rainy Wales. You said to me, "I've never once seen anyone choose King of the Hill."
No, I've never played against anyone. It's one of those rarely chosen ones. I think Taft's maybe designed his army. Well, it's a good army to take it because he's got lots of infantry that are really tough and resilient that can generally sit in the middle of the board.
But I also think, like we said at the top of the show, I think one of the things that we're seeing here is we know that those Nova Elves are going to be there. Yeah?
Yes.
So he knows that someone's going to protect themselves like this.
Yeah.
He knows he can deep strike here. Yeah, he can attack in. So he knows that he's going to be around this area fighting. So King of the Hill seems to make just loads of sense as a tactic. Again, one of those really beautiful elements of ITC in that you're designing your list with your secondaries in mind for how you're going to play.
Yeah.
Which I do genuinely think is a positive. I do think that the secondary system that they have is good as a game, and really, I mean, obviously people agree. It's pretty popular.
It is quite popular. quite a few big tournaments going on.
Yeah, included this one. And if you want to hear about all of the tournament news for ITC stuff from around the world, obviously you can listen to the 40k Stat Center. I'm sure anyone who's listened to this has already listened to it.
I'm sure they have.
Always worth mentioning. Okay,
Okay, so it looks like lots of this part of the board isn't being covered. So it looks like Chris has pushed Taff over to this side of the board here. He's got lots of I don't know if they're eliminator infiltrators or scouts there.
I think we're still going to see a lot of decision making. This is a very tight tactical game. However, I got to tell you, I'm very emotionally invested in what's happening on table 1, and our table boss is now going to give us the information that's happening now.
So, table 1, a lot of the drones have now died, which means that the town art is very, very close to naked. However, what else is very, very close to being naked is the entire guard gun line. There are very few tanks left, and specifically, you may have killed all the drones, but if you don't have anything that can then remove the town art itself, you're going to have an issue. Now, if you check very, very carefully on the camera, nestled to it like a kangaroo baby, on the left-hand side of that town art is another Cold Star battlesuit, the same type of commander that was used earlier to jump in and kill the Manticore. That thing can then advance 40 inches and blow up another tank. You've then got the town art you can rely on to remove more commanders, and you've got 4 more drones coming down as well, which means that we might be running very, very thin on heavy guard artillery going into the rest of this game. The counter to that is you've got a lot of guard infantry swarming the board. You've still got 2 squads of crew jumping around. They're going to try and remove some of the chaff, but that's what the guard are going to be relying upon to score to try and win this game out. But I don't think realistically, with the amount of firepower that's going to be left after this turn, that town hour is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Wow. So that's Nick. That's huge. Let's emotionally react to that. I
didn't realise there was a second Cold Star commander. If I was Simon, I'd be launching my Cold Star commander. I don't think this is 40 inches, but I'd be going for these basilisks here.
That looks
way too far.
Inches, yeah, way too far.
Probably this Lehman Rush is probably more realistic, and if you can get line of sight on these basilisks with his town R, I think that'd probably be game at that point.
I think the idea of stripping the armor, especially like we've said, just losing these. I personally think the Basilisks are going to have a job of taking out the town art anyway. Yeah, without their numbers being reduced pretty exponentially. But we've already seen that Thomas can't roll save dice for his life.
He can't, but can he roll hit dice? That's the thing.
But that's the real thing. So, yeah, can he get here? Can he start doing these shooting? We haven't really even seen the Supremacy suit do its So, if he's got the pulse ordnance weapons...
He does.
So they are very short range, if I remember, 24 inches? If he's got the ones I'm thinking of, Macro 5.
No,
so he's got the pulse ordnance multi-driver, which is the weapon on the top. And then the triaxis... oh, no, never mind. 60 inches. No. Okay. Disagree. I'm wrong. He's got all the long range guns.
All the long range guns.
Which is probably the better option.
Yeah.
Probably the better option.
Particularly if you're a tower player. They don't like moving, so they want to be really far away so they can shoot people.
No, they don't. They do not like moving. Which, they might... I sometimes wonder if Games Workshop was to ever release, just fixed emplacement buildings that you could take, whether or not fortifications just with lots of guns on. Whether or not all the tower players would just move on to that, they're like
a whole faction, just buildings,
just sitting. I've deployed. This is my mission, to keep shooting. This is psychologically, you got to think about the level of threat coming from that supremacy suit.
Can we just compliment Thomas? I don't think the viewers
Simon,
could see
actually.
there.
Isn't it?
I just want to compliment on his dress. He looks very dapper today.
He's dressed for the occasion. He knows he's going to be on the telly, and he is dressed for the occasion. It's our towel player. Sorry, I was talking about the psychological effect of something so large. It can seem quite intimidating. Really, it's only got the same survivability. Actually, it's got less survivability than a Castellan on the board, because it doesn't have an invulnerable save.
But it does have those pseudo extra wounds. There we go. We can see a shot.
There he is. Look at that. Look at that. Dressing for the occasion. I want to be on the telly. Hashtag tSports.
That's the job you want.
Yeah, dress for the job you want, not the one that you've got.
So I think what Thomas has got to do now, he's got to be very clever with the rest of his game. He's got to play on the objectives. I don't think we're going to see this go down. I think with the Town Supremacy going first, he's managed to, like we said, eliminate the threats to him. He's still got some drones left. So what I think Astra Militarum player's got to do. He's got to dance around the objectives, make sure he gets hold more, and maxes out his secondaries if he can.
Okay. All right. Well, so we've got some gossip from what's happening in our Necron game over on Table 3. Our table boss is going to bring you the hot gossip now from Table 3.
So earlier we were talking a little bit about the Necron big turn. You've got all those death marks dropping in. You've got the Destroyer Lords running up. You've got the Veil of Darkness to take your destroyers and lob them across the board and do some real damage with their stratagem. So the Necrons have done that. They've fired everything and they have killed 3 intercessors and 2 intercessors and done a wound to one of the captains. It has not been a massively effective turn. The Destroyer Lord is still to go though. That thing looks like it's charging across the ruin now into a squad of infiltrators. Looks like it's made the charge. It was quite a lone charge as well. It's going to be rolling its attacks now, see if it can remove a couple more Marines. But realistically, I don't think that that's enough damage. It's been applied to the Iron Hands gun line to really do enough damage. I think at this point it's going to be difficult for the Necrons to do too much more, and I think Jay and his Iron Hands may just push forward and roll through this game. We might be wrong, we'll find out, but we won't know until it happens.
Well, Nick, you are the big Necron fan.
I am.
Look, this is the
This
underdog.
is hurting me emotionally.
This is the
right
underdog versus the current bad guy in 40k, Iron Hands. How do you feel about this?
I feel a bit sad for my Necron brother here. In 2 turns of shooting, he's killed, I think, 12 models. It looks like. So this is why Iron Hands are so.
Yeah, but they are 12
dominant at the moment.
Primaris Marines, Nick. Yeah, they're like genetically enhanced super soldiers, and then
Yeah, but these
they
are
took genetically enhanced super soldiers,
skeleton robots.
and then they genetically enhanced them even more. Yeah, and made them even more super soldiers. They're actually genetically enhanced super soldiers.
Oh, okay,
right.
Okay,
So
I
what
see.
really can a metal skeleton do? You know, against such reckless genetic modification?
They can just shoot away with their
Just keep trying.
bolter sniper rifles as much as possible.
Really hard.
So they've killed 12 Marines in 2 turns, even using the destroyers with their destroyer stratagem, which rerolls all hits and all
They're
wounds.
destroying your faith.
They are destroying
Your
my faith
faith.
in Iron Hands. So this is why Iron Hands are so dominant in it. They are incredibly resilient to damage, but also put out a lot of damage as well with all the buffs that this.
Yeah, so I've often thought in the rock paper scissors mechanic of wargaming, one of the strengths you can have is be the toughest army in the game, but also do the most damage at the same time. Thankfully, they don't have the other thing, which is really serious mobility. Yeah, which is why we saw Yunari do so well back in the day.
Yes.
Because they had the punch power and they had mobility, but they really didn't have the sustainability. They were generally fragile. Obviously, they had a lot of minuses to hit, but they were more fragile.
Yeah.
But these have got that.
But they might not have the mobility that Yunari had. Yunari have, they had the planes, they have the double move with the Shining Spears. They also had the triple move back in the day with the Yunari Shining Spears, moving 3 times in a turn to get into combat. But the Iron Hands have still got the reach because they've got just an obscene amount of range on their weapons. Stalker Bolt rifles with 36-inch range with a 6-inch move as well. So that's a 42-inch threat range. And you've got things like Whirlwinds. They just sit in the back and they're 72-inch range, which is basically there.
Yeah, they I suppose really when you're also talking about range as well, or you're talking about mobility. When you're talking about range, you are really talking about projection of power. Yeah, that's what we talk about a lot of the time. So if we talk about that Cold Star Commander, obviously he moved that 40 inches on the other table, and then he attacked. He projected his power quite far, whereas the Supremacy Suit is just projecting. In this game, obviously, like you've said, those Whirlwinds, they're just projecting their power, over this portion of the board. So they don't really need...
Whereas we can see the Necrons, these guys are projecting their power about here. Their power is being protected by standing there.
Well, it's not really what the term means, but yeah, they are. They really aren't. This is like when you are doing professional sports coverage, we just have to put our money where our mouth is. This is an incredibly unfair matchup, both statistically and mathematically. Necrons should lose this game almost all the time. Yeah, at least 3 out of 4 times they lose this matchup.
Yeah. Just give Dave Fraser a shout out in the chat. He said he's enjoying the commentary, so thanks, Dave. Cheers for tuning in.
So jumping over to table 2, where our camera now is so off. It's been kicked so many times. Our table boss has got some information for us.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit earlier about the possibility that the Dark King just try and spread out, fan out that screen, and try and cause some issues to the Deep Strikers. Having a little bit, we've got a scout squad running face first into the middle of the next L. There is a few characters on the other side, so they're just out of range to be heroically intervened on, I would imagine. There is a smashed chaplain in there with a power fist, but I'm assuming that's just there to push things back and stop them from really deep striking into the middle of that L. That is along with Samael, who is now perching on the top, who has shot 2 eliminators off, and is also stopping anything from dropping on the top of the L as well. But the rest of the army, rather than spreading out and trying to prevent the rest of the Raven Guard from dropping in to the middle of to the sides of the lines, what's essentially happened is that the Dark Angels have really decided that they need to kill those Centurions. So they've had to shoot the Talon Masters, they've removed 2 Centurions, but now the remaining 2 Centurions are both in cover. One has 1 wound left, but they are incredibly durable units, and they are being shot at with everything. The Dark Angels didn't use the new Psychic Awakening strat to get +1 to hit against that unit. I don't know if that's going to bite him, but he doesn't have too many CP left anyway, so he's having to be very conservative with what he uses. He's still shooting at everything. It looks like Taff may have just used a command point reroll just to try and pass another save to prevent those Centurions from really going down. But we'll have to see. There's still a lot more to go in that round to see if they can remove those Centurions, and then we've got the second batch coming in.
Yes, so exactly what we heard there. Nick, how do you feel about that?
So I think he's made some good decisions here with the scouts here. He's blocking off these Assault Centurions before. Like we said, they're only movement 4, so they're going to have to go round this little wall of scouts that he's built. And it's also providing a deep strike denial bubble there as well. But he has left himself open potentially over here for the deep strike. I mean, it looks like Chris is going to have to try and finish these Assault Centurions in combat. I think he's got a cheeky chaplain in there. And maybe his special character, Landspeeder guy, I think he's got a pretty cool sword that can go in and kill. So we had a question from Rangar in the chat. It says he's an AOS player, but he's just tuned in. He wants to know what the mission involves. So these guys, so we're playing.
Oh, can I take this as an AOS player?
Okay, go for it.
There is no mission.
There is no mission.
Do you disagree?
There is a mission light, I would say. Not in the term that AOS
Diet
players.
mission.
Yeah, not in the term that AOS players would say there's a mission. So the mission they are playing particularly is called Seize Ground. So there's 6 objectives in sort of this formation. And it's an ITC scenario, so you score 1 point for holding an objective at the end of your turn and 1 point for killing a unit in your turn. And then at the end of each battle round, whoever holds more objectives or kills more units gets an additional point. And then each player chooses 3 secondaries that you can see here, and you can score a maximum of 4 points per secondary. So there's 12 points available for that. And then I can't remember exactly how many points for the primaries. But the mission, you get a bonus point for, I think, if you hold 5 of these 6. So the mission, I think we've said it before on the Thursday show, that I don't really feel you can call it a mission. This is just a bonus point. It's 1 point per turn. 6 points over the course of the game, whereas 12 for this. If you're going to call it a mission, you need to make these worth more points.
Yes, but there is a bonus point available if that helps you out in any way. Okay, so in our Tau game, we have some hot information coming from our table boss.
So what essentially happened is the town arrow is fired and created a rather interesting scenario here. So it's killed the Lehman Punisher. It's also killed the quad mortar. So we're talking about removing those heavy-duty guns that could really hurt it. But those quad guns then exploded and killed Gunnery Sergeant Harker. So that was fun. Back to you.
Oh, well, okay.
Wow. So
all right, that's unfortunate.
We've had some friendly fire.
Friendly fire. Listen, I've always believed if I'm going to be, like, if you're a gunnery sergeant, surely you know not to stand next to munitions.
Yeah, you've seen it. If you're a sergeant, at least you've survived at least one battle.
Yeah.
Or half an hour in the Astra Militarum battle.
That's how you get to be a sergeant. Yeah, if you survive an hour and a half, you're a full commodore. Yeah, and I'm not even sure that's an army rank. So we've seen, like, look at what we've seen lost in this game. Well done there, John. This vehicle. Oh no, we're on the wrong side. This vehicle's gone. This vehicle's gone. Our bunker shot is all gone. All of these are gone. We've lost a large swath of these vehicles. The only things we've really got left now in that back left-hand corner is the basilisks.
Yep.
They're part of that setup.
And it looks like we've got some Kroot here advancing in the middle. Looks like they're going to go for a bit of a cheeky charge on these infantry and dice them up.
But those infantry really controlling that board space realistically. I wonder if we've seen the increase in infantry, because there are two Astra Militarum lists here this weekend. One with 60 guardsmen, one with 70 guardsmen. And I know having a lot of guardsmen is obviously... Oh, look at that. Come on, Kroot. There we go. Who's going to win that fight? You know, you're a human and you've just been given basically a light versus... I'm not really
now,
sure.
men, shine it in their eyes.
They're battling against Alf from the TV show Uncle Alf, if you ever saw that in the 80s. Huh? Then carnivores.
Kroot carnivores.
They absorb the material of whatever they eat. So they're like the Queen, because the Queen is a carnivore. Most people don't know that. As an Englishman, I can confirm that. The Queen is a carnivore.
I've seen them transform.
Yeah. So go back to that shot, because that's cool. Who's going to win that fight? I mean, because sometimes we talk about, obviously we have a supremacy suit on the tabletop, yeah? A huge, big thing. We've got a whole bunch of dev
It really
centurions.
is living it to its name, this game.
What do you mean?
The supremacy suit.
Yeah. I mean, it's dominating. It should be called the domination suit. Yeah, and the artwork of it should just be its gun pinning down other vehicles. In a very oppressive move. But it's just a very cool. It's just quite a cool shot, because sometimes you neglect what's going to happen with the little fellas in the game. Some people describe them as chaff. Mm-hmm. I describe them as I hate everything that you're doing, Tech Wizard. I just want you to know that. Thank you so much.
So we've seen the charge in. So it looks like he's charged one of the little RC bots the exploding RC bots that we saw explode earlier in a very damp squib moment where it didn't do any damage to the Coalstar Commander. It looks like the Kroot are going to try and take it out before it can explode on them. But the RC cars, if they are killed, they do also explode like a normal vehicle, so it could just get its vengeance anyway.
Yeah, who doesn't want some good vengeance?
And it explodes on a 3+. Ooh, so if you kill it, it does explode on a 3+. It's not just a 6, so it might still get its vengeance anyway. So it looks like it's rigged just to go anyway.
Right, so on table two we have. I just want to let you know what happened on table 2. We had the Raven Guard with the Dark Angels. Raven Guard took an early first turn punt, and they put a bunch of Devastated Centurions as well as the Smash Captain. They were all here, and they went in here. Yeah. Then in the Raven Guard's turn, they struck back. The Smash Captain died just in the Raven Guard's first turn. Yeah.
But there was a key moment in this when the Centurions got in here in assault. What are the new Primaris ones? The name's gone. The Aggressors. The Aggressors counterfought with the 2 CP interrupt stratagem, killing the Smash Captain and one of the Centurions.
And a lot of people,
pretty big moment.
A lot of people, when you think about the Aggressors, obviously you're thinking about those either the Flamestorm Gauntlets or the Boltstorm Gauntlets, but you forget that they're power fists that they're attached to.
Attached to a power fist.
They're decent in combat, and they've got some real punch. So we've got an update now about what exactly has happened since we saw those combats going on from our table boss.
So first of all, congratulations guys, we're halfway through the round and all of the games are still going. Well done everybody. Second thing, yeah I know, Dark Angel's turn has now had a conclude pretty much. We had a bit of a shoot around to try and remove the last of the Centurions when we were last talking about it. They took the Centurions down to 1 full Centurion and 1 damaged Centurion. The result was they needed to charge in and try and remove the last of the Centurions. So the second squad of aggressors got thrown in to deal with the problem, and they killed all the Centurions. I thought that was a little bit dangerous because TAF still has the command points available to then turn and interrupt and fight all of the characters that are also charged in, which means the characters could then be in a spot of bother with a bunch of drills to the face. The other charge we've got going on is Samael. Samael is now perched on top of a ruin and has charged the remaining Eliminator from the squad on the top. Killed that as well, so that's 2 units that have gone down. That is pretty much the state of play as we move into the Raven Guard turn 2. Still lots of deep strike, still got the Deathwing Knights to come down, still got most of the Raven Guard army to come down. Lots still to play for in that game.
Yeah, thank you very much, Table Boss. I mean, that's kind of one of those key bits that we have got to talk about. Those Eliminators going down and the Centurions going down, but there's still those 10 Deathwing
Yeah,
Knights.
I totally forgot about those, Rob. I'm very excited to see what they do when they come down. They're going to just have a 9-inch charge, so you're going to need a little bit of luck to get in there. But they're all armed with Storm Shield, so once they are down, there's a lot of wounds to shift with a 3+ invulnerable save. And it looks like the Dark Angels player maybe has the advantage in this point because the Raven Guard player, Taffy, went first, so he's probably going to have to drop his Deep Strikes first, so then Chris can countercharge with his Terminators. So he can see where the Assault Centurions go, then he can countercharge with his Terminators.
Yeah, I think realistically, both these players making early gambits to engage. So making early gambits to engage in that centre, and it really does go to show, as you were pointing out, that the mission. Look at this. There's no one on that objective. There's a unit there. There's no one here. Like it really, like the totality of the output that you see in 40k.
There's not enough incentive to play the mission because it's only 1 point per turn. There's no incentive to actually bother. There's more incentive to go and kill.
And do your secondaries. 12 points.
Do your secondaries.
12 points.
That's the thing that most people focus on.
If you were to sacrifice doing your mission over the secondaries, that'd be 5 points versus the 12. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Way better to go for the secondaries. Skip the mission completely. So I just think that's going to be fun. Hermanista in the chat, and also thank you to anyone who is watching live. Hope you're enjoying it. Let us know what you like. If there are any Ravenwing left on the board, those Deathwing Knights can drop closer than 9 inches with the new Psychic Awakening Dark Angel strats.
So I think the bikes might carry like a teleport Homer. So I think they can within 6 of the bikes, but so that they can get closer than 9 inches to the enemy. 6 inches away. Okay, so it's 6 inches away from enemy. So maybe he can do it on the land speeders, or if there looks like there might be a Ravenwing bike here that he can do that with. So that'll be exciting.
Very, very exciting. Let's jump over now. Let's get back to table 1. Yeah, we're seeing this aggressive. Okay, we're just going to move around.
The Crew have got in.
The Crew have got in. There we go. That's what I was emotionally invested in. Thank you very much. But they're removing some of the Crew to the Guardsmen. Okay, that's unfortunate. You would have expected at this stage. Okay. Okay. So what would you have expected to happen in this combat?
Well, with the Crew, they're meant to be. They're better at combat than shooting, basically, but Tau basically use them as like an advanced forwarding, advanced position force. So they have a pre-game move of 7 inches. So that's quite good for pushing out turn 1 deep strikes on drop pods and things like that, and just getting on objectives early in the game. But they have 1 attack each, which is pretty disappointing, really. Weapon skill 3, strength 4 with a weapon, and damage 1. So, I don't know, maybe 5 guardsmen die in that combat.
Okay, well, the quick update on Table 2. We're going to go to Table 2 now for some hot gossip that no one else knows about right now.
Hot goss.
So I think the Dark Angels made a little bit of a mistake here. So we were talking earlier about those scouts that were running between the L's. Now, they weren't there to screen. They were there to lock down the Centurions, because they're only Devastator Centurions are not that good in combat. So they've charged in, and they've hit the Devastators. And the idea is they were going to just stay in combat, not all die, and then stop them from shooting. So they go in, and then luckily for the Dark Angels player, he's only killed 4 of those, so there's still 1 left. Unfortunately, it appears that the chaplain had a litany that allows that unit of Centurions to fall out of combat and shoot. So you've now effectively just used that unit of scouts to try and tie something down and achieved nothing. You've just lost 4 of your scouts, and you've forced a litany from a different litany out from the chaplain into the Centurions. So those Centurions are now moving up the board, and they're going to be having a shoot at the rest of that Dark Angels army.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Nick, what do you think of that? That's my real question.
That's
and the question I'll ask all weekend.
Play. What do I think of that? I think that's a pretty smart play. It's a pretty good choice for Taft to take, particularly having his chaplain hanging around those Devastator Centurions, just in case they do get locked in combat. The only way you could stop that happening is if they get a wrap on the unit. But yeah, maybe it's just a bit of a gotcha moment, or just Chris just forgot about that litany existing. Because let's face it, there's a lot of new Spaceman rules come out recently. You need a lot
Hardly
of brain
any.
space. You need a lot of brain space to keep it all in there.
Yeah. To describe this edition of 40k as convoluted would be an understatement. And we saw, actually, if you're looking at some parity, and no disrespect to Chris in that situation, you need only look at the last game of the LVO. Yeah, the very last game. It was that back pocket stratagem used to change Successor chapter by Siegler in that very final game that won him the world's largest 40k event.
Yeah, and also in this situation, what's really good for Taff is that instead I think if the Dark Angels player Chris, he just left the scouts there, that would have been better than doing what he did with charging in, because what he's allowed Taff to do is get extra movement, pile in, consolidate, and then move out to get better line of sight on, I don't know, these intercessors here, because these two line speeders are characters. So it's just allowed him extra movement, which is massive for the Centurions, because they only have a 4-inch move. So any extra movement you can squeeze out with charges, pile in, consolidate, is pretty massive for them.
Yeah. So if we jump over onto table 3, listen, Nick.
Oh dear, there doesn't look like there's many Necrons left, Rob.
So we haven't visited this Necron game in a while. Let's find out from our table boss what's happened.
So that Marine shooting phase was actually pretty devastating. So it's ended up removing all of the destroyers, 2 squads of death marks, and a cryptic. That's quite a lot of units. Quite a lot of points going off the board there. The punch really didn't land from the Necrons, unfortunately, and the Marines' counterpunch absolutely did. They had a literal counterpunch into the Destroyer Lord as well, the Smash Captain and the Chaplain Dreadnought. But because that guy is so beefy, he has not really taken too much damage at all. He's still there, plugging away, not really doing too much. They're having a nice fight in the corner. It's all right. Passing it back to the guys.
Help me, Destroyer Lord. You're my only hope.
Nick,
this guy is our only hope for this game.
There is. So look at what we've lost in that round. We've lost 20 of the 30 death marks.
We hyped up.
We hyped them up. Well, actually, did we? We talked about the realism of their existence.
Yes.
We
talked about they've got a cool rule. So I really commend George. He's brought a cool list with those 30
there's nothing
death
there. Like, they've lost nothing. Like, there's just nothing there. It's just a walking wall of destroying guns. Like, the Necrons they got to go first and engage with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they got the first turn. The conditions were just right for an upset here, but the Iron Hand's just too strong.
I wonder if it came down to dice rolls or just the existence of the rules, realistically. I mean, look at...
just the rules. Marines in cover with a 3-up save, 6-up DPR for Iron Hands.
They're just doing so much work. We're now into the Necrons' turn on that board. So the Necrons...
Yeah, looks like he's moving some more. That's another unit of death marks there, just bringing them out.
Okay, so we're finding out now that
so the Necron player George, he's decided to turn it on now. He's going full on aggressive.
That is what I have been waiting for. I've been waiting for. So what the Necron army has done is he's lured in the Iron Hands army by losing a significant portion of the army.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you saying that all of these death marks were bait?
I am.
And this is bait. To draw them in for the kill.
Is that the Destroyer Lord at the top?
That's the Destroyer Lord.
Yeah, the Destroyer Lord is definitely the bait. And then the death marks were the counterpunch. And then he's going to counterpunch with the Warriors?
I think he's got some Tesla Immortals there, looks like.
Okay, so there we go. So he's got some punch still.
Yeah.
He's got some capacity to punch in
still
there.
Get his Lord, I think, there for My Will Be Done to give them +1 to hit, so they're exploding on 5s, not just 6s. But again, he's playing Marines. The Tesla are strength 5, so he'll be getting a lot of wounds, winning on 3s. But it's just a 3+ armor save he's going to be running into. So Tesla were great against Orcs or Guard, but not particularly great against
Well, so
Marines.
I'm really hoping the Necrons use their stratagem where they can fire 3 times to take out that. They have that? They don't have that. That would help them in this situation because one shooting phase will be nowhere near enough to do the work. No. It's not that it's a foregone conclusion in the Necrons versus Iron Hands game. It's just that, it is. But we get to watch this charge of the Light Brigade. which I think
he's pushing the Doomsday Arcs up aggressively. Looks like he wants to get those Ghost Flayers in rapid fire range as well as the Doomsday Cannons.
Yeah, he's going to get them in. And then look, if all he can do is take on the Leviathan Dreadnought,
so what he could
he's
do,
won an emotional
victory.
victory.
He could use the Doomsday Arcs. Maybe he should have been pushing these up earlier in the game, because in this situation, if the Doomsday Arc was, let's say here, charge these Intercessors, pile into the Leviathan looks like it's rocking the double Storm Cannon array, which is probably the most optimum loadout for it. If you don't charge the Leviathan, you're not taking Overwatch from it, but then if you consolidate into it, tag it, you're stopping it shooting, unless it has the Warlord traits, Master of History I think it is, where you can consolidate away 6 inches. But that's the way, in my opinion, to deal with Leviathan Dreadnoughts. If you can get something in combat with it without taking Overwatch, just stop it shooting.
Well, listen, in the foregone conclusion that isn't, let's find out what's happening in the Tau game on table 1.
Last time we were there, we were seeing the Croots really push out and try and assert some board pressure on these guardsmen. Kind of backfired a little bit. We've had one squad of Kroot charging into a squad of Australians. They are now down to 1 model. The other squad of Kroot jumped on a literal landmine, that drives across the surface of the board, the RC car Cyclops demolition vehicle. They jumped on it, they punched it to death, and then that exploded and removed all but one of the Kroot that remained there. So you have 2 Kroot just towards the bottom side of the board, but just standing in the middle of all those guardsmen, and 1 in the center. And the Tau player has now just realized there is nothing for him to really score with, so he might start moving his Tau Nar up in the coming turns. Back to you guys.
Well, he has actually got some sneaky ways of scoring. As we've seen, we've got 2 units of Pathfinders have snuck on the board here and here at the side.
So the Tau player's got some cheeky Vespid dropping in.
Are they Vespids or Pathfinders? Oh, so it's Pathfinders on the right and it's Vespid on the top.
Okay, so he's dropped those in. He looks like he's cleared enough of the Astra Militarum army that he feels confident to drop those Vespid in.
Well, they're all Vespid, actually.
They are, apparently.
They're all Vespid
ones, I hear.
Yeah, so which is odd, right? Why would you drop them in now when there's so much like anti-infantry fire available?
Maybe he's just hoping to clear those with the Supremacy Suit, so the Vespid.
Just wait a turn. Bring them in
into
after.
That ruin and hide.
I suppose actually no, they're in turn 2. He's still got a turn he could bring them down in. I think there's the potential. But yeah, so there's obviously still a lot of anti-infantry there, and our table boss is right. Its scoring is now going to be an issue to bring that forward.
So I think clever play by the Astra Militarum player. He's forcing the Tau player to have to move. So
he's moving with a vehicle that now is basically not going to die.
Yeah.
There's not enough firepower from the Astra Militarum to take that out. But really, is that the point? Is that why he's actually quite good? It's not about that there's an unkillable thing. It's can the unkillable thing score enough points to take the game out?
So Thomas isn't out of the game yet. Like we said, he can just dance around the objectives and get hold more, and stop Simon getting those extra bonus points. So we're not sure. So Simon has taken Butcher's Bill, Engineers, and a third one which we're not sure of because our overlay is slightly got an error. So he can maybe deny Engineers if Thomas can kill the Engineer units that Simon nominated. He can stop him scoring those Engineer points, which is really good. And maybe if he just hides all of his units to stop him getting the Butcher's Bill, maybe that's the play he needs to make.
Yeah, I agree. It's about reducing the ability for these players to score those points. I think that's the game that we're looking at here, which is quite an interesting one, right? When you're looking at this game in comparison to the second game, what's happening? On game table 2 between the Raven Guard and the Dark Angels. What I think is really interesting there is it's the ongoing combat, or it's the decision very early by both players. Both armies are playing very aggressive. They're going to strike sort of play style, no matter who they're deployed against. I think realistically, version against that on table 1, I think the ability to ignore elements of those armies that we've seen and take out the ability to score those like the engineers points as an example really is going to affect that ability.
So I think this is an engineer unit, and I think there's an engineer unit in the middle we here. So if the AM player can take those out, he might still be in a strong position.
So we are now we're going to go back over to table 2. We're going to go over to table 2. We're in the Raven Guard turn. So we're in Raven Guard turn 2 at the moment. We saw that aggressive first play. And then we saw the counter-attack from the Dark Angels. We lost a lot of Centurions. We're down to 1 Centurion and 1 Centurion on 1 wound.
I think we're down to, so we've got a couple of Devastator Centurions, and I think we might have another unit that is Deep Strike down here. They're slightly camouflaged against the city terrain.
Okay, so we've got 5 Centurions at the bottom. So we're into this Raven Guard now. Raven Guard turn. We'll find out what our table boss has got to say about what we've seen.
Yeah, so 200 IQ Galaxy Brain over there, making sure you have your army painted so no one can see it on the tabletop. If they can't see you, they can't shoot you. We've had everything come down pretty much from the Raven Guard army. That is 10 Sniper Scouts. They've all appeared towards the side where the Dark Angels player is stood. We then have another 2 characters that have dropped down. All the buffs allowing those to hit much more accurately, and they've come down behind the Centurions that are next to them as well. You also have the 4 the melee Centurions. They have come down, but they've come down on the opposite side to everybody else. They are looking to get something in on that whirlwind in that room there. However, they don't have a litany that allows them to get +2 to their charge range, like the Centurions from the previous turn did. That means they are going in completely dry, 9-inch charge, trying to get into that whirlwind, seeing if they can tag it up. That charge could be incredibly important for the game to see whether or not the Dark Angels player has a firepower available to remove everything out of the way. And it's not just having that whirlwind available to shoot. If those Centurions get in and they kill that whirlwind, they can pile into that ruin and they can cause a real problem. Stood in that corner, really being difficult to shift. We saw last turn quite how hard it is to remove Centurions in cover. If they get in there, that's a big issue. We'll see how that pans out. Back to you guys.
So yeah, amazing the volume of Centurions that are in this list. It's like pretty terrifying, realistically, and threatening now that Dark Angel bunker. And what I really enjoy, what I enjoy is to see the subterfuge that we're seeing there. Raven Guard known for their sneaky tactics and their deep striking shenanigans, and also knowing plans ahead of time. Versus the traitors. Known for generally being traitors.
Yes, so hopefully Samael here ascends to demonhood this game for killing some of his Space Marine brothers.
I mean, that's what we could all eventually hope, right?
Hopefully, yeah. That's my plan.
So those Centurions that we were just talking about are here, as we talked about, they're threatening this backfield. That Centurions punched a good hole in there.
So these Centurions will be incredibly hard to shift if they manage to get into this Nova L in the corner, because the Dark Angels player, Chris, he doesn't have many more options for replying to these Centurions if they get in there, because they'll be out of line of sight. If he takes out his 1 whirlwind, he won't have much options to shoot back. And then the Centurions, though, in the next turn, they'll only be able to go 4, so if he just backs away, he won't have to deal with him. But I think it's just another big unit that Taff is using to take more command of the board, to push. It looks like Taff has this board space. So it looks like Chris is going to have to drop his Terminators in this space here, which may or may not be where he wants to be. He might want to get further forward in this bit to start threatening Taff's juicy bits, his characters here, and these sort of intercessors and stuff over here.
Very, very, very interesting.
I'm very excited to see the Terminators come in.
So
it'll be interesting to see where Chris goes.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, it's so far, like this round, it's been it's been very interesting. It's such a big place. Obviously, we saw the Cold Star Commander jump over and do some suicide in, and then fail all his saves and die.
It was a glorious death. He took out his target.
It was very cool. I really enjoyed it. That was really fun. I thought that was fun. And that Tower Supremacy suit is still there, just gunning people down. At table 2, Dark Angels have just gone... the Raven Guard have just gone straight into that combat. The Raven Guard have struck back pretty devastatingly. I honestly think that game's in the balance.
Yeah, we initially pegged that game for hashtag the first turn problem. We thought the Raven Guard going first, they would go in, smash, and the game would be over. But Chris is, he's done some good, nice counterplays, particularly with that reaction in the first combat phase, using the 2CP to interrupt with the aggressors. That might save his bacon.
Smash Captain failing that combat as well. I mean, that was huge, right? Like, he goes in, he does the work, he's spending all the CP to make him do all the big hits, but then the aggressors, I think, punching back, you're not seeing, and that 4-up invulnerable save just doing its work. But unfortunately, the heartbreaking story so far, Game 3, Necrons. Yeah. They go first, they engage, turn 1, they kill 6 Marines.
Turn 2, they kill 6 more Marines. So that's a whole squad.
But the bad guys, Iron Hands, they're there. Yeah, that Leviathan Dreadnought is just like boom, boom, boom. Like, he takes out
he took out the Tomb Blades, took out all the Death Marks, one of the Annihilation Barges, the Destroyers, just killed them all.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So, like, we're going to go back now to that Game 3. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for tuning in live to the TSN. More games over this weekend as we go forward. So, we are now looking at an earthquake, I think.
We are. Some seismic activity on that table.
However, we're not on this one. So there we go. So, looking at this, Necrons have got their turn, and they've got the Tesla Immortals here. They've got
I think that's some more Immortals there.
More Immortals, and then they're all going to be engaging. The real question is whether or not you're going to see Leviathan Dreadnought go down. I think it's not going to go down at all.
Odds on, that's never going to go down.
Odds on, it's never dying.
I'd be surprised if he loses this whole tournament.
Honestly, this has been, I was going to call it a depressing game to watch.
It's been heartbreaking to watch.
It's just been this line walking its way across, just murderizing it's been devastating, honestly. But not for the Devastator Lords nor the Destroyer Lords. It's just been awful as an experience.
But the one Necron hero we have, which all of our Necron hopes are pinned on, is this Destroyer Lord here. Destroyer Lords are pretty resilient and they're quite good in combat, so you never know, he might be able to take out this Chaplain Dread and then whomp through the rest of the army, but he probably needs about 10 or 12 turns to do that.
A lot of people asking if you'll be able to subscribe to the TSN. I think you might be able to by the end of this weekend with the coverage in place. But that's not why we're here at the minute. That'll be in the future. At the minute, we're just hoping that you see some top quality coverage. We've got a great team at the minute. So table 2, apparently we've got some hot gossip. But no, we haven't got any hot gossip. But it might all be about to go off.
It's all kicking off.
No.
So, the Grav Devastators are still firing. The Scouts are still left to fire.
Information from table 2.
Brilliant. So what it looks like right now is that there is a bit of a tipping point going on at the minute. The Grav Devastator Centurions are still yet to fire, as are the 10 Scouts, but a lot of Dark Angels have already fallen over. We've lost 2 squads of Intercessors. They've both gone down, so that middle of the board is looking particularly sparse at the minute, especially with all those characters in there, and then all of those Sniper Scouts being ready to fire. You also have lost the last Scout in the center of the board as well. It's not massive, but it is creating some space for you. Those Grav Centurions, they're firing 2 into the Talon Masters, 1 into each, and then 1 is firing into Samael. That looks like Samael has just gone down as well. That is a huge amount of damage being pumped into that Raven Guard army. It might not even matter if those Centurions on the top side make their charge or not, because that army looks like it might take too much damage this turn to carry on. Back over to the main desk.
Thank you. I mean, like you described, Samuel's just gone down. I mean, not only has that obviously swung the game massively, it's also taken out a traitor Space Marine. So that's also.
He's not going to send a Demon Hub with that kind of resilience.
No, he is not. And Pete, when you're watching this back, screw you. So that's gone down, and like Tom was saying, I think really the ability to effectively neuter this army. There's still 10 Deathwing Knights to come down, but they can't take on the whole board.
And like we said about earlier, the projecting of their power, they are a combat unit, so they can only be at one place at one time. It's not like you're dropping down a big shooting unit like the Tau Supremacy suit that can just sort of sit in the corner and kill everything in its line of sight. These Terminators are going to drop down, hopefully going to get a charge, they're going to smash something, but then they're going to be limited in the next couple of turns where they can go. So they're only going to be able to basically kill a couple of units, basically, at best.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to be enough to counter what TAF has achieved so far.
Not even close. Not even close. So...
Shocking news from table 3.
I mean, this is devastating. I'd like to stay with this, but I've got to go back to table 3. We've got to see this. Necrons in their shooting phase. They've unloaded. Listen, they've woken having warred across the universe with gods. That's what their race is famous for.
Years.
For millions of years. So much so that the Eldar, were created. Orcs were created to fight the Necron menace.
Yeah, and they were even powerful enough to even enslave their own gods.
That's how strong they were. In their shooting
power.
phase this turn, though, they were powerful enough to kill 0 models.
0 models.
0 models. They were in range. It's not a range question, because I don't know if you've noticed, they're right there.
They're pretty close.
They're very close. In 40k terms, they couldn't be closer unless they were in combat.
But again, this Destroyer Lord, we've still got hope in the combat phase that it might be able to go in and kill something, but doesn't look likely.
It does not look likely at all. Nick, how do you feel as a Necron player at this moment?
Well, I just feel Marine's got a big buff recently. I'm hoping that at some point Necrons get a bit of love. Most armies so far have got something in the Psychic Awakening books, so hopefully we'll get some extra rules. But I'm not too confident that we'll get anything great.
So if you're just looking at the points there for the Necrons as well, we've just been reinformed that kill anything.
They've not even killed a unit yet.
They haven't killed a unit yet.
They've killed bits of different units.
They haven't killed a unit yet. What they need, and to quote my good friend Dick van der Hoosen, you need Doom Scythes.
Yes.
Are you even playing 40k with Necrons if you're not using Doom Scythes?
Okay,
that's my real question.
So Doom Scythes are the Necron planes, not the transport one, the ones with the death rays underneath. But if you have 3 of them, you can use a devastating stratagem where you can do 3d3 mortal wounds within a 6-inch bubble, which is quite a good counterplay against Marines, because Marines want to castle up, get all their buffs in range. So if you have that, it's a threat, and it means that the Marine player has to kind of spread out. If they know, they can spread out if they don't know they're going first. If they know they're going first, they can probably castle up and still shoot the planes down. But if they don't know that they're going to go first, they need to sort of spread out to avoid that devastating stratagem.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. Yeah. So, I mean, like we said, like 25% of the field. We wanted to put the Orc game on. I think no matter what, even if one of the Orc players doesn't win their round, we're going to have to put them on the stream because I want to see some Orcs. Otherwise, it'll be a very boring weekend.
Because we want to have to be challenged to say all of the names right.
Boomdecker Snazwagon. No problem. Deathkiller Wartrike.
Snozwazzler, Cartrack, I don't know.
It's good that they didn't make them competitive. Yeah, because as casters, that is a nightmarish game to cover. Okay, so going back... no problem. I hope you guys are all enjoying the stream. Just want to let you know, everyone here at the Vale Renegades group, they've been very friendly. I've had a very nice time hanging out with them. So.
One of the things that I'm most impressed about this event is the pack that they've brought. Really nice pack. So you have
sort of printed out and everything.
Printed out, really nice. It's not sort of cheap paper. It's like nice, strong paper. All the information is there. The schedule, how to score, terrain rules, the point maps, and then all the information you need in the scorecards. It's a fantastic little pack they've put together.
Yeah, this is genuinely good.
Really impressed.
Yeah. I'm going to be stealing one, and I'll put some pictures up of it on Twitter. It's very nice. So back to table 1. We've got some hot gossip to come from our table boss now.
So I was having a look at this game, and I was having a look. Well, maybe you just shunts his Tau commander straight in, removes both the basilisks, and they just spend the rest of the game mopping up. It's very, very close on points at the minute, 10-10, but at the minute, that means that's going to go to whoever is able to exert the most pressure for remaining 3 or 4 turns of the game. And at the minute, I don't see a way that Tau Nara is going to go down. So what's happened is the Tau are now on the march. The Tau Nara has moved up, being followed by the Cold Suit Commander that's running around with it. It's having a shoot at things as it goes. It's already removed 1 basilisk. I think another unit of Imperial Guardsmen just got removed from the board. The Ion Cannon fired at some Ratlings on top of the hill towards the other side of the board from the Taunar, and it's really looking to assert its dominance on the rest of the board. The question is, how quickly can it remove these Guardsmen? But also, how quickly can these Guardsmen move? They have move to get onto the objectives. They have bottom of turn, so they can see how many objectives they need to assume hold more points. They don't really have too much left, though. There's a couple of squads of Guardsmen left. Looks like about 4 or 5. There's another one that's just hiding in this L that you can just see him leading into there, taking some of those out. There's some Kroot poking their heads around there, having a bit of a shoot, just to remove as many Guardsmen as possible. I have a feeling like this is going to be a low-scoring game overall, but I think the town might take it, but I could be proven wrong. Let's see what the guys think.
Yeah, so I think Tom's right. Obviously, there's not just winning the game, yeah, because someone at this event is going to win the tournament, right?
Yeah.
It's about racking up. We talked about
trying to win big.
Yeah, win big. We talked earlier on about obviously the missions and that one bonus point being 5, but that 5 points in addition to secondaries, you end up getting it. Now you're on 17 points. Then obviously you've got your kill and your hold. They're 2 a turn. So even over a 5-turn game, that's an additional 10 points. So you want to look at that. So what Tom's talking about with those low-scoring games is you can win the game, but you can win the game not big. And that's a huge issue, right? Yeah, because if you're going to want to take out the event, you need those big points.
Or you can kind of plan your way to victory. You can win big early on, you sneak up the ladder, just avoiding all the big hitters, and then last game, get your big win.
Now, that normally works in a game system where 50% of the field isn't the offensive Space Marine force. And they're only 25% here. Yeah? So it's not as bad as I'm making out. But especially, like, if you're talking about a game like a tournament like this is fine, because there are only 40 players at the event. However, at a larger event where you're 100, 150 players, you really can't afford to be losing any points per round. So you're right, it's a very different strategy depending on where you're playing and how you're playing, right? Okay, so in this game, as we talked about,
Shock horror. What's happened here, Rob?
The Supremacy suit has moved. It's showing its supreme command of movement.
Yes, yeah.
How well can... Yeah, it is...
Does Tau have a movement gun?
Yeah.
They just fire a gun at the floor, and that's how they move.
It's actually one of the accelerant. Yeah, it's one of the things that you just power on. It's just anyway. Look at that legendary vehicle. It's such a monster. It's such a beautiful model. FYI, I am deeply in love. I've got one of those, and I just think it's just wicked. Those drones around, just like picture them in your head. Just picture him in your head, like flying around, supporting, like taking out shots.
Flying into las cannons.
Yeah, like me jumping in front of a princess to stop her. Only my princess is a 200-foot tall god of destruction. Although weirdly, they're not. They don't worship them. Obviously, the Imperium worship the god vehicles. They're titans. I don't think the Tau. They don't worship these.
No, it's just all part of the greater good.
To be fair, all of the different races deal with their Titanics different. Obviously, the Eldar, it's piloted by one twin, while powered by the souls of its dead other twin. Pretty dark.
Pretty creepy.
The Tau just make theirs, like it's China.
Yeah.
And then, because the Tau are the Chinese. Or the American the Chinese. I can never decide, realistically.
One of the two.
In the narrative. And then, I don't know what Necrons. Necrons is a...
Well, they just enslave their Titanic ones, like the gods, and they just make massive
buildings,
pyramids. So the Egyptians, right?
Yeah, like Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah,
but not like that. Right, let's go back to table 2. Let's go back to table 2 and find out where.
Let's see how the Marine Off's going.
The Marine Off is going. So those Deathwing Knights. Those Deathwing Knights did not make the charge. They didn't get over the Centurion. Sorry, the Deathwing Knights are still yet to come down, right?
It looks like Chris is eyeing up where he's going to bring him in. It looks like he wants to go and fight those Assault Centurions with his Deathwing Knights. Yeah.
Score though 9-7, very close. But like we talked about before, those Dark Angels have lost a huge portion of their army.
They've not got much shooting left. So Taff has got some sniper scouts up here, which, and because he's Raven Guard, I think once he moves into the tactical doctrine, he gets extra AP on his assault weapons and rapid fire weapons, I think. But they also get +1 to hit and +1 to wound against characters. So those sniper scouts are pretty good value at that point because their mortal wounds are coming down on 5s, not just 6s.
Yeah, look at those Centurions. They are ready to rock. Absolutely. So I think, Nick, in what is probably going to be a disappointing and or terrifying update, we've got an update from Table 3. Going over to our table boss now.
Contrast to the previous Necron shooting phase, we have had a Marine shooting phase, which has removed 10 death marks, so a full squad, a squad of Immortals, a Destroyer Lord, and a Necron Lord, which means that Jay is very much going along this theme of 4. It's his special number. And as in his theme of 4, he's killed 4 units in the last 2 turns, I believe. Maybe the last 3 turns. I can't remember. It's too many units. We should make it stop. Anyway, that means that now the Necrons are left with 2 Doomsday Arcs, they are left with a squad of Immortals, and they are left with 1 Necron Lord. So that means they have 4 remaining units. So that means that game could probably be over very quickly. It looks like it's kind of a mop-up duty for the Iron Hands now. That's pretty much in the bag, I think, unless something spectacular happens to the Necrons. Back to you guys.
I very much enjoyed that we should make it stop. like we should go in like
someone should go in there and just stop the Iron Hands player and say, look, enough is enough. Tom's running over now. He's just.
Could you just please stop what's happening? Yeah.
Someone throw in the towel for the Necrons.
Thank you for agreeing, mate. Yeah, if someone can go and find George's coach and throw in a white towel, that would be really handy.
So are we going to see a game where the Iron Hands Marines win a game without the Necrons killing a single unit? I think that's a very real possibility at this point.
I think it would be... it's genuine. Oh, hold on. No, we've got an update now from the table.
Necrons have killed something, apparently.
Our table boss is not ready yet. He's not prepped. We'll find out. He's very excited.
Killed an Eliminator!
Yes, the Doomsday Arc has killed an Eliminator.
So the Doomsday Arc has killed a squad of Eliminators. A squad of Eliminators is dead. We're all over the moon. I mean...
He's got that kill.
He's got that kill. The face he's got right now is the face of...
He looks like he's won the tournament at this point, Rob.
Check defeat. Listen, you take the wins where you can get them, right? Yeah?
Absolutely.
And truth be told, I mean, we know how few Primaris Marines there are actually in the universe. And the Necrons understand that they can afford to lose 10,000 Necrons for every 1 Primaris Marine.
There's a million more Tomb Worlds where that one
There
came
are
from.
Billions of Tomb Worlds full of trillions of Necrons. So they're like, we're going to play the long game. Absolutely. Like late stage capitalism, yeah? They're like, we can take some huge, huge hits, yeah? But we might make it through to the end.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Play our cards right at the last minute.
Yeah, let's get it going. Let's do this. Honestly, now I feel like that's all we needed to happen. Those Necrons just needed to kill something, and now that's the swing. With those Eliminators gone,
yeah, I really think so. The Butcher's Bill secondary was looks like obviously now with hindsight a poor choice against Iron Hands. He definitely could have chosen a different one because they're so resilient. It's very rarely going to kill.
Explain Butcher's Bill people out to people.
So Butcher's Bill, you have to kill 2 units in your turn. So the Iron Hands player's got lots of vehicles at the back, dreadnoughts that are characters, or just super tough, and he's got big units of intercessors which are hard to shift. So maybe that was a poor choice in terms of secondaries, because shifting through a whole intercessor block and then something else from an Iron Hand army in a turn, pretty unrealistic, knowing what we know now, because the Necron player, even with a whole army of shooting 2 turns in a row, only killed 12 models. So maybe he could have killed used something different. Maybe he could have gone for engineers, using some Immortals in the here, because you've got a nice... line of sight blocking terrain here, so you can sit in infantry here. That could sit on that objective, scoring that. However, maybe he didn't choose that because the Iron Hands player's got 3 whirlwinds here that could just be plinking away at that unit to stop him getting those engineers. So
yeah, it's amazing to watch. What we saw was this initial triangle here, and it's just advanced forward in what has felt like unstoppable armor, which is very much what you consider the Iron Hands to be. So yeah, just dark and tough. Right, so in one of our very competitive matches, or the tight swing game between these two Marine armies on table 2, we've got some information coming now from our table boss.
So, turn 3 has arrived. Have you ever played Total War when all your stuff's running away and you're trying to rally all of it around to have one last counter charge in? Well, that's basically what the Dark Angels are doing, except their brick looks like reinforced concrete. You have the little bits of wire going through the reinforced metals, and then you have the concrete poured on top. And in this case, the concrete are the Deathwing Knights. They have dropped down outside of 6 inches away from Taft's army, and they are ready to charge in. You have all the remnants of that army still in there, all the characters still in there, apart from Samael. You have the Talon Master off to one side. You still have your Asmodai. You still have all your characters that are just left in there because Taft couldn't kill any with his snipers. You are now building up, and you're going for one last hammer blow. You're going to try and remove those sniper scouts. You're going to remove those Centurions. You're sacking off a Whirlwind and just saying, fine, have my Whirlwind. I'm going to push you up the center, and I'm going to take your points. That's what's going to be attempted right now by Dark Angels. We're going to see how well that goes later on in the round. Back to you guys.
So, Nick, how do you feel about what can only be described as some big moves?
I definitely think it's a smart play, because if you're going to go over here and fight the Centurions, you're only going to be a 9-inch charge, and as Tom said before, he's going to be going in dry. He's got no buffs. Whereas he goes over here, he's got this Raven Wing biker, so he can deploy within 6 of that and then within 6 of enemies. So he's got a more reliable charge here onto these scouts and onto those Centurions. Looks like he's going to tie up the scouts with this land speeder first as well, to soak up the Overwatch. And then get the the Terminators in as well. And I think he really does need to try and not commit too many to these scouts. Oh, it looks like some scouts have been lifted, Rob. So some scouts have been lifted.
Yeah.
I think that's from a bit of shooting. So it looks like he's deciding not to combat the scouts. So it looks like he wants to concentrate all of his combat onto these Centurions, because they are pretty tough and resilient to combat. So I think Taft could pop transhuman physiology on them to reduce the effectiveness of the Terminators.
Well, that would work, right?
Yes.
That would work. That would be
because otherwise it'd be wounding on 2s, but then transhuman physiology makes it only possible to wound on 4s.
Okay. All right. Well. Okay, so I for one, am a big fan of those Deathwing Knight models. I think they look very pretty. Plus, I like the idea of priests, space priests with robes and hammers smashing in. I don't even get time to finish my point because there's some hot action coming from table 1, and our table boss is going to let us know now.
Over on that table 1, we had a little bit of an incident earlier in the game, but we were talking about the Vespid Stingwing had single-handedly managed to charge a Basilisk, which is very important because it prevents the Basilisk from shooting. Well, that Basilisk decided that it didn't like not shooting very much, so that Basilisk did a Band of Brothers episode 5 and reversed over the Vespid Stingwing and is now shooting at the Tau army. That's pretty cool. I thought it was cool. You guys should think it's cool too. But back to you guys.
This is not the most epic of combat. This is Tau fighting a tank.
Yeah, I mean this is Vespids. Yeah, fighting against
some alien flies.
It's basically a fixed gun emplacement. They only need to get it places. It's the only logical reason I think it has tank tracks. So that would be the only reason. But yeah, and killing those guys, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, it stopped those. It's allowed the Basilisk to keep shooting. Maybe that's going to be able to kill Simon's engineer units that we spoke about earlier, because I think this is one of the engineer units here. So this is a really close game in terms of points. The Tau player is only 2 points ahead of this at this rate. He scored 2 out of his 4 engineer points. So if Thomas can stop the engineers, it looks like he's maxed out engineers. Actually, I think the score's just updated. So he has maxed engineers, so it's a bit too late for Thomas to stop that.
Didn't get those points. So, like, as much as the Tau army has taken has done a ton of damage and has taken out a bunch of those units, what he has done, it's a beautiful board, by the way, as well, I just want to point that out, the score is super close. Look, it's 16-15. Not forgetting that the Astra Militarum have gone second. So they've still got some points.
And that's why we're seeing at the minute. And you see, the score has updated again. It's 15-16, which isn't sort of the score
good.
we'd expect looking at the board.
No, it
There's
isn't.
a town supremacy suit there, and not many tanks left. But I believe that's more because Thomas is going second, so he's able to look at the board in his turn, identify how many kills he needs to get kill more, but that hasn't happened this game. But he's mainly able to identify how many objectives he needs to be to get hold more.
Yeah, absolutely. So apparently, we've just got some information from our table boss. We're about to go to game 3. Necrons may well have done some more work. Let's find out right now.
So the Necrons continued their shooting spree, and they have removed a squad of infiltrators, which means in one turn, after killing nothing for the remaining 3 turns, they have killed 2 units. They're just like London buses. They don't kill for a while, but when they kill a lot. So we're back now into a Marine turn. They're shooting. Looks like they've removed the Lord's still there, but a Doomsday Ark is gone. That Lord looks like he's going to get charged, and we're still having a shoot. Oh no, the Lord's gone. Never mind. Pardon me. Commentator curse. We've still got the squad of Immortals just out the front, and the Doomsday Ark left, but it looks like it's just mopping up duty at the minute. Back to you guys.
I mean, how dare he? Realistically, how dare he say that it's just mopping up duty?
There's nothing to mop up with Necrons. It's more like a dustpan and brush.
but they're on the uptick. They're pushing forward now at this stage. They've killed 1 unit. They've got a taste for it. They're like, we're going to kill another unit. We're going to get involved. We're going to start real murder at this stage. So, I think, this, which is basically all that's left of the army. Oh no.
More death.
More death.
Okay, so it looks like it's 6 Immortals stick the world at this point. But I imagine we're going to see this Smash Captain here, the Chaplain Dread, all fly in there and finish it off this turn.
Yeah, so
that looks like it's going to be game.
That is game. It's 16-7 as well. It's not even one of those games where you've lost the units to call it. Necrons not having a good showing. There is one other Necron army here.
Yes.
There's just the one. I think there isn't another Necron army here. I think this is just the only one. So these have got the only opportunity to take out the
well,
game.
at least he's got the opportunity to what is termed submarine. So he's taken a loss in the first game.
Or Tomb Marine.
Tomb Marine, yeah.
Tomb Marine.
So he's delved down into the Tomb world and he's going to hopefully emerge later in the rounds.
Subterranean. So we can call this game now. Let's go to table 2. There's the handshake as well. Look, we got that just in. Lovely. Really happy with that. That was a nice little moment.
Nice.
Dave Fraser says he can still play for Best Necron.
He sure really can. It's a tough field, but I'm sure he'll give it a good go.
It's a tough field. Anyway. Oh, wow. Okay. So on table 2, those Deathwing Knights are in.
So there you go. So he's got the charge, and he was in a clump here, but he's spread out to get as many units as possible, and just get as much board control with them as possible. I think there's a couple of. I think there might be a chaplain hiding in this room that I'm sure he's hoping to smash up. And then obviously, I think his main target is these Centurions here.
100%. So we just heard 6 scouts. 6 scouts just got shot off the board. Look, there we go. There's that combat right at the moment. And it has become a mess. Those Deathwing Knights into the Centurions. Can I just talk about this game compared to the other 2 games? There was literally no combat in the Necron game, versus Iron Hands. This has been all combat. Those Centurions.
Yeah, there's been a lot of to and fro, hasn't there?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the counterpunch. I've really enjoyed the counterpunch of combat that's come in here. It's really fun, especially as you and me were talking yesterday, Nick. We were talking about there just isn't loads of combat in 40k.
No, it seems to be hard. It's harder to get there in 40k to get into combat, and also the stratagems are all around combat. Like fight twice is at the end of the phase, and it's 3 CP, whereas shooting twice, it seems to be cheaper to do in terms of command points and easier to do because you've got the range to do it.
And you don't have to get there.
Yes, you just stand still like we can see with the Tau Supremacy Suit on
Talking
table
of the
1.
Tau Supremacy Suit, great segue. Table Boss has got some hot information to come to us from table 1 right now?
Supremacy suit, because I've never seen a Town Supremacy suit so far up the board in my life. And while you're talking about combat on the other boards, no combat on the Necron board, or combat on the middle board, we might get some combat on this board. We've already had the Kroot fighting. I've heard whispers that the Town Supremacy suit is going to charge something this turn. So we get to see the Town Supremacy suit in close combat. So we've got an incredibly close game over there, but those guys are still having fun messing around, charging Town Supremacy suits at things. It's a great game. Passing it back to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it is razor tight on the points. It's 16-15. Very, very close. And also, everyone in the world right now is going to have to be like checking on Battlescribe, best app of 2019 and 2020, actually.
Yeah.
Just a little spoiler for everyone. What it even does in combat. One of those interesting things, I'm thinking that Simon reckons that it's the same as an Imperial Knight and as good. The question is it?
It's not far off, Rob. So it has a degrading profile, so it starts at 5, 4, 3, and then 2 attacks. But then, similar to a knight, for every attack it has with its crushing feat, it becomes 3. But it's weapon skill 4, strength 8, AP 2, damage 1 rather than D3 like a knight. So he's a good target for stomping on infantry. You wouldn't throw him into like another vehicle necessarily, but I'm sure he's got a great chance at stomping on at least a unit of infantry. So similar with knights, you've got to run and gun with them to get maximum value out of it. Run forward, shooting your weapons, and then get extra value in combat.
Yes. I think you're going to absolutely want to do that. So some information just from table 2. You find out that the Deathwing Knights have taken out a unit of scouts now in that combat.
Yeah,
Excellent work.
So they did a multi-charge. There was a unit of scouts here, there was some Centurions here, and there was a chaplain hiding in this ruin here. He's charged in, he's spread out, and he's just whomped all of them. Multi-kill.
Can we just ask our tech guys? Can we get like a multi-kill thing that sweeps across the stage, the thing at the press of a button? The answer is no, as I'm the tech guy. But one day we'll get Yaga multi-kill. Multi-kill.
It looks like we're seeing a massive consolidate here. I believe that Chris would have used a litany, which gives you a 6-inch piling or consolidation. Because it looks like he's tried to wrap and trap these units here, which I think is a Phobos Lieutenant by the looks of things. So he's trapped them in there. I'm a bit concerned about this coherency here. That looks way bigger than 2 inches.
Yes. What between the Deathwing Knights and the
I'm just having a little zoom in to see what characters here. Looks like a Phobos Lieutenant.
So you can't in 40k you can't remove a model away from another model in coherency, right?
No, I don't think you can make a move like a pile in a consolidate or a move as long as you finish your move within coherency.
But I also can't take a model. I can't take a model as a casualty out and break coherency intentionally.
I think you can, yeah.
Oh.
So obviously in AOS they kind of updated that. So if you split your unit coherency, one half of the split
unit
has
just
to
dies.
die. But in 40k you can still kind of remove models if you're strung out in a line.
That's actually really interesting.
Like this, you can remove that one, and this unit just has to stay still, but it isn't removed from the board.
That's huge. Yeah, because you can be really abusive with that if you know how to use it properly.
You can, because you can have like a buff character here, buffing this unit within 6 inches, and then you have one guy here, and then maybe miles over here, you have another guy on an objective, or fighting someone.
So jumping over to table 1, there is some really, really hot gossip. The Taunar has charged a unit of guardsmen. So you're there.
Word.
Yeah, you've just entered life. You've been given a gun. Yeah, and you're like, I want to fight stuff.
This is your first battle.
Yeah, and you sergeants like hide behind this building, and you hide behind it, and then you turn around, and then a 400-foot tall war machine charges towards you.
Boots you in the face.
What is your reaction? Twitch chat, Nick. What's your reaction to that?
This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what the propaganda of the Imperium told me was out there. They said there was just, some evil chaos cultists running around.
And that's all I'd have to deal with.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is. He's like, oh no, I am having it. It's just one guardsman as well. Just one sergeant, actually, sorry. Okay, so he's just there, just like, this is a terrifying time.
Or maybe he's an optimist and he's like, this is my time to shine. This is how I get promoted to squad leader.
He wakes up in the morning and the world is a sunny day to him, and he is like, this is my opportunity to succeed where others fail. Yeah. Oh, he's dead.
Oh no.
He's
gone.
Right, we just should never zoom in on a model. Whenever we zoom in on a model, the model dies. Yeah, it's the curse cam.
Cam.
At this point, no, I'm going to put that down as well. That would be a fun Twitch emote. Curse cam. As a guardsman, it's an easy decision, says Twitch villain idiot in the chat. What easier to kill your foe than the commissar? What is easier to kill your foe than the commissar? Yeah, I agree. So that's going to have scored him another point, I think. What we also
cheeky
missed as well,
there.
a cheeky commander at the top charged into another young guardsman looking to survive, a sergeant on his own. Okay. Right, sweet. Which I think is going to take out. So that is located just here. The combat
the commander's
with
there,
the commander is in the center. So then on table 1, the models that you just saw removed were actually morale checks, and a couple of 6s roll for 2 different units, lifting off another 2 units there. So that's actually really swung it around.
Yeah, I think because Simon had a lot of guardsman units to kill, I think he's been really smart with how he's gone about this. Because if you've got lots of little 10-man units to do, you can split fire, charge couple, basically kill, let's say, 5 or 6.
You're relying
well,
on
I think it's high risk. Is it high risk, high reward? Because if you spread your damage out, yes, you could maybe focus and kill one squad. But if you can do 6 or 7 damage to several different squads, you might get lucky and kill lots more with the morale checks as more are removed via that.
Yep. It's a solid
because the morale checks are just doing your work for you, basically. If you get lucky, you're killing extra d6 more.
So jumping over to table 2 right now.
Okay, the Marine-off.
The Marine-off. It's getting very close. It's 11-10. 11-9, sorry. 11-9.
That is super close.
Oh, no, it's 11-10.
Wow, so Dark Angels are actually up. This is a bit surprising. Dark Angels are actually up on points right now.
They are. We're being quite quiet because we are quite close to the players.
Close. We are
but both emotionally and physically. And we want to make sure that they have the best game that they can. Yeah, it's very close, and.
So was this was going after this whirlwind with the Assault Centurions a mistake? Because they're out of the game now.
They're going to in the next turn, but it's been Dark Angels. It's still the Dark Angels' turn at the moment. You know, they've dropped in these Deathwing Knights. They've done that kill combo that we just saw before, as Jim 1080 says. Yeah, it's very close. It's very close. There's a point in it. But now in the Raven Guard's turn, those Centurions are going to be able to go taking that whirlwind at the back. That's going to get it really close.
But what are they necessarily achieving? Yes, they're taking out the whirlwind and they're probably jumping on this objective.
Well, they could also jump
on the
objective.
But they're out of the game at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
They are? Yeah.
I mean, what else is there really? They can't. There's no way that the Deathwing Knights and the Centurions now are going to engage with each other. They're just not involved in each other's game plan for the rest of the mission. So, it's just super close. Right, okay. However, let's go find out some information that's happening on table 1.
A quick rundown of exactly what the Guardsmen have left to see if they can cling on to this game and stop hemorrhaging points to these Tau armies, which are going to push up, kill more every turn, and then aim to take hold more as well in the later stages of the game. They've got one full squad of Guardsmen. They have got one sergeant left. They have a few characters left, and they have a basilisk on 2 wounds. So what I'm really looking for is next turn, all of the remaining units that are able to block the characters probably get removed by that Town House Supremacy suit. That means that although the guardsmen can then cling on by standing on objectives of their characters for another turn, all those characters are exposed. It doesn't matter if you're standing on magic boxes, you've got 4 smart missile systems hitting on 2s on that Town Hall Supremacy suit that's now in the middle of the board, and so in range of pretty much all of the guard army, even if you move, and even if you advance with those swings. They're going to be able to remove those characters. The guardsmen need to find some points, and they need to find them quickly to build up a big enough lead to be able to win this game, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to. Back to you guys.
Appreciate that table boss. Nick, how do you feel about that? Like, who were you really rooting for in this game? Like, I wasn't. I think I was rooting for the Supremacy suit because I was just like, look at that chunky boy on the board, looking for the win.
Yeah, I think at the start of the game I was rooting for the Supremacy suit because we very rarely see them. It's not your typical Tau list of 9 broadsides or 3 riptides. It's just one big cool battle suit. Well, not a battle suit, vehicle. So yeah, I was kind of rooting for that guy at the start. As we saw last turn, it was really, really close. It was 16-15, but now the Tower players jumped up to 20. And because the Astra Militarum player, he's really bleeding units now. He's got very few units left. Is that going to be the swing turn that is going to just start to ebb away from him?
I mean, at this stage, what can he even do?
No, but he can't. What's happened is what we call at the start of the game. The Tau Supremacy suit has deleted all the tanks that can kill him. So now he just reigns supreme on the table, killing what he wants, going where he wants.
Yeah, with only 22 minutes left on the clock, both games that we've got going on, looking to wrap up their final turns at close of day. And see where their points are going to sit. It's going to be very, very close on table 2.
Yeah, I think.
I think now Tau have just tipped the balance, and it looks like that early engagement with that Supremacy commander that we saw, where we saw that early stage engagement really pay dividends, especially taking out the Basilisk. Truth be told. So yeah, big game, big swings.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over now to our table boss, go to table 2, that game that we just talked about. We're going to talk about some of the updates that we're about to get.
So I'm trying to have a little bit of a in-depth look at table 2 and see what exactly is going to be going on in these next few turns that are going to be occurring here. And what it looks like at the minute is that TAF is really trying to pinch the backline of the Dark Angels army. So you've got a squad of 2 small scouts that are just walking around the side of the hill. They are looking like they are going to go off and charge that remaining infiltrator that stood on an objective, which then forces the Dark Angels to react with their 3 scouts potentially, or maybe commit some more, because if you lose those points could make all the difference in the end of the game. A similar thing occurs in the far section of the board as well. On the other side of the same width, you then have the squad of Devastator Assault Centurions. They are going to be going for that whirlwind in the corner. The reason for that is you've still got an objective just in front of that ruin, and there's not really anything else to respond. It's not necessarily even about killing the whirlwind, it's about securing that objective and forcing the Dark Angels to do something about it. You're saying, I've taken 2 more objectives than I need have to. What are you going to do about it? You're going to split your army, come half one way, half the other? Well, if you send half after my Assault Centurions, they are going to mess some things up. If you send half to the other side, maybe you'll do something, but then it becomes, well, I'm going to get some more points on this turn, and that's going to push me over. So it means you probably need to commit a little bit harder on one side and see if you can math out the points with your abacus on the table and get enough points to secure out that game. What do you guys think?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, it's an incredibly concise review there from Tom, and I can't disagree with most of it.
Yes, it's a very split board at the minute. I mean, they've kind of divided it in that kind of sort of section. The Deathwing Knights have retaken this part of the board. The Assault Centurions here are commanding here, and Taff has got sort of what I would probably say he's used them as chaff at this point. They've just been holding that objective all game, and these scouts here. They're kind of splitting the objectives between them, and like Tom said, this is Chris's power that he's got left on the table. But where is he going to go? Taff is kind of like splitting his forces and forcing him to make a decision. Will he make the right one or not? We'll find out soon.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think we might have the opportunity to interview the Necron player in a moment and find out what his thoughts were on his game. Again looking at the top down, we're just going to hear how Necrons fared in their game against the big baddie in 40k, Iron Hands.
So George, you had a bit of a rough match at round 1. I think it's fair to say Do you feel like there was much you could do about it, or is it just one of those things?
It probably could have gone a little bit better. He rolled really, really well on the saves.
He does do that.
Really well on Feel No Pains. But generally, yeah, no. Infiltrator's really tricky when you got to get within 12. Deep Strike, can't get within 12. Probably could have played it a little bit better, but my range is so short. Got to get up close. Got to get stuff done.
Do you know what you think you could have done immediately, or is it one of those things where you really have to think about it and work on? Because Marines are such a durable force that you know exactly what they're going to do. It's kind of a hard matchup to really know exactly what's going to be most efficient.
I think it feels a lot because like they've got a lot more rules than I do. It's like they can reroll ones with pretty much all their weapons. I can only do that if I don't move or things like that. But no, it's tricky because I've got such simple units. Like, I can take Immortals, they got one or two options. You can take a Marine, he's got 3 different weapons options. You can give him a whole different bunch of chapters. It's tricky.
One of the things I often see Necron players do is they take Veil of Darkness, and then first thing they do is they just launch their destroyers straight across the board. I think against that's a mistake because you just lose them immediately. Why didn't you do that game?
I didn't do it in the first turn, because it was a case of, I'll wait for it. So, yeah, didn't do it. I did do it, but not in the first turn. So, that was a case of, wasn't really sure what I wanted to be shooting at, because I'm not going to kill the Leviathan Dread, because it's got way too good of a save for me to try and dent it. It's going to pass off all the wounds. Can't shoot the other Dreads, the characters. Whirlwind's way too well screened, because it's just nice. Like, the deployment, really nice for that sort of thing. So I thought, I'll hold back a bit, see if it opens up a bit. Didn't really. I tried to shoot the I tried to use the Doomsday Arcs to shoot the infiltrators at the back, make a hole so I could drop them in and take out the whirlwinds, but didn't happen. So what I did instead, I put them as close as I could at the front, just try and clear my way through the side that the dreadnoughts went on, and then sort of work my way around, but didn't shift any.
Would it be fair to say that in evaluating that game, you looked at it and you're thinking, right, I need my opponent to make some mistakes. You were looking for those mistakes, they didn't happen. Yeah. They just kind of ran into you.
Yeah, I can say. Yeah.
Fair play. Well, thank you very much for playing on stream, mate. I really do appreciate it. Thanks very much again. I'll talk to you later, bud. Good to see you. Right, that's...
So yes, back to table 2. Thank you, Tom. That was an ad hoc interview. We weren't set up interviews yet, but we might do that in a bit. TY for everyone in the chat. So back to this game, Raven Guard. If you've just joined us, and as I know some of you just have, Raven Guard went first. They dropped in 2 units of Dev Centurions in the center here. They made a long bob charge into the Dark Angels kind of gun line. It had intercessors. Oh no, it was on that side. Sorry.
Yeah, there was a big castle here built by the Dark Angels with all the character land speeders, intercessors, and aggressors here and there in the middle as well.
Yeah, and they went in. They did some good work, but the Smash Captain got hit back by the aggressors, which was and it did
they used
nothing.
the interrupt stratagem.
Yeah,
took away that reroll hits buff for the Assault Centurions, which was pretty big.
Really big, yeah, and it did nothing. And then the Dark Angels turn, they spread out, they started to take out the Centurions. Samuel came over here, took out a unit of... I
think it was the Eliminators.
It was the unit of Eliminators. So then it all seemed a bit swingy, but then the Centurions here, another unit of Centurions here, just went bananas. We lost most of the Intercessors, we lost Samuel, we lost a whole bunch of stuff. The Deathwing Terminators then landed here, they hit the Centurions. This other unit of Centurions landed the turn before. They are looking to take out that Whirlwind at the back. And now we're just left with some Deathwing Terminators, these Centurions, and they're eyeballing each other across the battlefield, but they're not going to do anything particular. And the score is... And there's 1 point in this score. 1 point.
Yeah, it's a really close game. The big powerhouse units, like Rob said, are here and hit it with the Deathwing Terminators. There's little bits of units left, like there's some infiltrators here that have just been hanging out by that objective over the game, but they've finally just started to move in now. Looks like they're holding 2 objectives by stringing out there and there.
Yeah, so going over to table 1, if you've just joined us again, to catch you up, the Tau Supremacy suit with 3 Tau Commandos and a bunch of drones, all deployed here. They're up against a guard army, and there was a whole bunch of, there was a basilisk, 2 basilisk, manticore at the back,
Lehman Russ as well,
and a couple of Lehman Russes, but they're all gone now. We had an early Cold Star charge, went in, took out the manticore, which was possibly one of the biggest threats really to the supremacy suit. We've eventually seen the supremacy suit move forward. There were about 60 guardsmen on the board as well, but they've slowly gone down.
they've been whittled away.
So we're now going to get a quick update from our table boss about what's happened on table 1 since we were last there.
So on table 1, the swing has effectively happened. It's now 27-20 to the Tau. We were talking about this a little bit earlier on, how they were eventually going to blast roll the guardsmen and start picking out the characters. At the end of turn 5, at the end of that, we had 1 squad of infantry left for the guardsmen and 1 master of ordnance hiding in a ruin. That isn't really enough to get you any meaningful points, and it's certainly not enough to claw you back a 7-point deficit. In the following turn, the guard managed to kill 1 Kroot, and that was pretty much the end of that turn, really. There wasn't really too much to be doing. That game is steaming ahead towards its conclusion. Looks like it's going to be a low 30 points win, maybe a medium 30 points win to the Tau, so not a massively scoring game, but it's going to be a win. Looks like they're just finishing that up now. That game looks like it's going to be pretty much done. 1 model left, a Master of Ordnance in the corner, and then that's going to be that. Win for the Tau on table 1. Back to you guys.
Wow, okay,
right.
So there we go. The Tau sneak that win in. But
It was very tight early on. I think the Astra Militarum were up on points in the first couple of turns, but the Tau Supremacy Suit, like we said earlier, was just able to eliminate the threats that could get it, and it eventually swung the game in its favour in the late game.
Neil Kerr in the chat, we are at the Echoes of War 4. That's the event that we're at. The Echoes of War 4 Vale Renegade Open. If our man will just press the button and bring you the DUP posting. There you go, so you can check out. It's a small 40-man tournament. It's very, very fun though. Held in Wales, and we're using it as an opportunity to test all of our equipment, which is fun as hell. Interesting. Nick, we talked about win big, right? So those big 27 points on the board for the win. We go to that table 2. It's got 2 very, very top-end competitive marine armies, but we've got 11 minutes left. They're definitely not getting to turn 5, let alone finish.
I think they've had quite a lot of complicated combats and to and fro in, lots of combat to fight, which has sort of bogged the game down a little bit. Because obviously when you're doing a combat, you're getting the extra movement phases of charges, piling in, consolidate, and all those extra dice that you need to roll for fighting in combat.
Yeah,
so that's why we've had this game bogged down slightly.
So table 2, we're going to get an update now from our table boss, find out what that hot goss is, and most importantly, are Deathwing Knights the best unit in the game?
It looks kind of close to it, although I wouldn't agree. They look pretty good right now, mate, to be honest. We were talking earlier about how TAF was looking to pinch the backside of the board. One side of that was really successful, one side of it really was not. So, last infiltrator on that objective died. The scouts were able to move around and kill it, as we were talking about earlier. The remaining 3 scouts for the Dark Angels are coming to remove the previous scouts to clear that objective. And on the other side of the board, that objective is still not cleared down, because that 5-inch charge from the Centurions failed into the Whirlwind on a double 1. That Whirlwind is still there and kicking. Those Centurions are still in that corner trying to pin that down. Meanwhile, all the Deathwing Knights, bar 1, are still alive. I can quote directly from TAF, that 4++ is brutal. They are staying alive very, very easily. You've got all the other Marines that have also got 4+ saves, which means you have to pour more resources into them to remove them, which means you can't pour as many resources into the Deathwing Knights. I feel like those Deathwing Knights may just roll through the center of TAF's army here, and that could cause them a major, major problem. If I had to place a bet, I'd probably place it on the Dark Angels right now, but I don't know what you guys think. Back to you.
Honestly, at this stage, the board just looks so confused, right? You've got to go to those secondaries, right, to see. Like, Gangbusters is done, yeah? Headhunter's still there, 2 points available. Butcher's Bill, 0 points on Butcher's Bill. 0 points. That's a way to quickly put some points onto that board, right? And he isn't, and the question is why.
I'm not sure. I think I thought last turn he's got a Butcher's Bill when he did the big multi-charge here. Because he killed the scouts, the Centurions, and then a chaplain here. But he's got an opportunity for it here because he's got his Terminators all strung out here, and there's some infiltrators here.
So how do I score Butcher's Bill, Nick?
So you just kill 2 units in your turn. No matter how you do it, it's just 2 units in your turn. So he's got an opportunity here. There's infiltrators here, which he's really close to with his Terminators there. That's only like a couple of inch charge. And depending on the charge he gets, he might be able to get into these scouts here. And I believe there's either a character, maybe just up here off screen slightly, that you could maybe get as well. But that might be stringing him out too far. So I think these infiltrators and these scouts are probably more realistic kills to get for him this turn. Okay, so we've just heard that the reason he didn't score Butcher Spell before was because he assigned one of the kills to a different secondary. So I believe that was Headhunters and Gangbusters on the Centurions. So you can't stack Gangbusters, Butcher's Bill and Headhunter together. So yes, he got the Scouts, that was one kill, but the Centurions were a Gangbusters kill and the Headhunter for the character. So that's why he didn't score Butcher's Bill last turn.
Yes. It's interesting choices, especially with 8 minutes left on the clock. These guys definitely are not going to get their game finished. But it's been intense, and I just want you to know, like, if you cycle back through this game, and obviously you can watch the whole thing back at any point, you'll go see that there was like some really big moves happened early on, right?
Yeah.
Like there was immediate there was turn 1 combat right here into the bunker, but there was just a lot of dice rolling occurring. A lot of dice rolling. You had whole bunches of units hitting, re-rolling, and fighting and armor saves. And as much as some of these units are very devastating, there's still armor saves being made on a bunch of these units. Yeah, like it wasn't easy. Like these units of Centurions, which got hit back by the Raven Guard after, were still around they were still around going into turn 2. So there wasn't as many of them, obviously, but they were still there. So it's been this game has been a butcher's bill. That's what I'll say. It's taken its toll emotionally and physically.
They've taken chunks of meat out of each other this game for sure. There's not a lot left on the board. Taff has lost quite a lot. He's lost 9 Centurions, I think. And Chris has lost a hell of a lot as well. He's lost all his land speed, as it looked like. He's lost a load of scouts.
And here we go. This is one of the things that you see. You see one of the things that are pointed at Terminators as being. Some people don't like Terminators, right? Mm-hmm. And I know Tom Layton, our table boss, is one of those people for the exact reason that we've just seen. Here, the Centurions land. They go for the charge. They don't make the charge, and then if you've got the mobility, you just move, and now you are just out of the game.
They're in no man's land now.
Yeah, just like you were saying the turn before. I mean, they are scoring this objective point, which is cool because they can get hold 1. They might get hold more, and in order to get the bonus point in this mission, you need to hold 5.
I believe it's 5. Yeah,
5 of these objectives. Hold or contest 5. So getting that bonus point, but that bonus point with there only being 3 points in it, 14, 11.
That could be the swing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that could be the.
But that's why I think Chris is probably in a commanding position because he can get with these Terminators here. He can get rid of these infiltrators here, and then that just gets him on. And potentially, if he gets a good charge move, he can get onto this objective as well to deny that one. Although these scouts are troops over the Terminators.
The thing is, though, he's got to get all of that done in 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, they're gonna pick up the pace if they want to get this game concluded. But it's pretty tight. It's pretty tense and tight.
It's very,
this game.
very tight.
So I think I'm sure they both want to play it correctly. I'm sure they both agree that they're never going to finish this game, but they just want to make sure they get even amount of turns and play it as fair and even as possible.
Yeah. This is the last game on the docket, which we would not have thought. The most output in.
We had this down for the quickest game, didn't we?
Quickest game. We had this down for the quickest game, which is not what we expected. But then that's what's really fun. I've enjoyed doing the 3 table coverage. I think it's worked quite nicely. You know, we've got a larger sample size of the games that have happened. We've heard more stories.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
been fun.
We've had lots of drama.
Yeah, with loads and loads of drama.
Chance to see lots of different armies. Like we've seen a Tau army with a Tau Supremacy suit. We've seen a pure Astra Militarum army with sort of lots of tanks and lots of infantry. We've seen Necrons do very little in the game and die. We've seen an Iron Hands army be incredibly resilient and pump out loads of damage. And then we've seen a really awesome Marine-off with the Raven Guard, Centurion army, and then Dark Angels with sort of land speeder heroes and these Deathwing Terminators. So you can see a Phobos lieutenant there who looks like being eyed up by the Terminators. That'll be another Headhunter kill if he's able to get it, but I think we're in the We are in Chris's turn, but are we going to get the combat phase? There's 4 minutes left on the clock now.
Right, so because we've all of our back-end architecture now is powered by the incredible Down Under network pairing system, I'm pretty certain at the end of round 1 we might be able to see some faction win percentages. Let's press the button and let's see it happen.
There we go.
There we go.
Look at that.
So that's live. Obviously, it's a small sample size, but when we start putting this in and integrating this into larger tournaments, you'll see both of the Tyranids both the Tyranid players won. There's 2 here, and they've got a 100% win ratio. Now, obviously, they're not filled in yet, but this gives you, and we'll be able to update this as the tournament. So as the end of this round is occurring, you can see that Tyranids have won both their games, and obviously the 2 Tau players have both won their games as well, Eldari. And then there's 1 Custodes. There's more than 1 Custodes player, but 1 Custodes result is in, and they also have got a win as well. So a really nice mix. We could, next round, we could do some Tyranid stuff, we could do some Custodes, and there you go. So, I mean, those are all the results that are in at the minute. All of the Orcs players lost. All of the Orcs players lost. Oh, they could also not have the results in. Yeah, we're trying to hold on to that, but that's fun. And obviously, as we start round 2, we'll have a look at these tables, which is fun. And on the leaderboard, I think we've got the leaderboard right now. It looks like
Chaos at top.
Chaos
I'm
at the top.
That.
He's got a total of 20 at the moment.
I suppose there's a lot of people on 20s there at the minute.
There's a lot of people on 20s at the minute.
We'll see that separate out as the rounds go on.
We will. We really will. Patrick Vance.
And who's in second, Rob?
Marcin Witzak. Yeah, I'm not terrified. I'll say a name. That's close enough. I'll say it in Welsh. Right, let's get back to table 2. So some cool stuff there.
2 minutes left on the clock.
2 minutes left on the clock. The
Looks
Deathwing
like
Knights have done a charge.
Squeezing in the combat phase.
They're just finding out, like, if they can take this out. Are they going to do it? Yeah. Are they going to punch through? Very exciting time.
So the score. So he's 3 behind at the minute. Let's assume he's going to get his kill and his hold. That's 2. That puts him on 13. So as long as he gets 1 headhunter, he'll draw. But we're not quite sure how many units Taff killed in his turn to see who will get hold more. And if we can go back to the top down, we can have a little cheeky look to see who's holding more currently. So let's go. So Taff has got this one. Looks like Taff might have this one. Oh no, sorry, Chris. So Taff has got this one. Taff looks like he's got this one, but maybe they die. I think Taff has got some scouts. Taff has got some scouts there, so he's got that one. So it looks like Taff has 3. I reckon Chris is going to get this one. It looks like he's got this one here, and I'm not sure he's got a unit on this top one here. So it's hard to call at the minute who will get hold more and who will get kill more. I think that could be the swing.
I mean, that is gonna be the important one at this stage. Looking at this game. Because it's a 3-point difference. This is going to be the last turn that's getting in. There's a minute left on the clock. This is going to be the last turn that goes in. Oh, there you go. Just making sure that's measured right, making sure they hold it in. It's very close.
So it looks like he's declined going after these infiltrators. He's just going after the headhunter kill and holding this objective. It looks like.
So yeah, because that'll get him a kill.
I'm not sure about that because these are troops though, so they're going to hold that one and that one.
Well, because look, he wants kill 1. Yeah, that's a point. He wants kill more. That's another point. Yeah, right. He wants hold 1. That's a point, and then he wants hold more. And it looks like if he takes off this one objective, he will hold more. So that's 4 points. That puts him 15-4. That's the win on that turn.
Okay, so you're calling it 15-4
Very
to
close.
Dark Angels.
I mean, to be honest, also he's also got. He's got some good board dominance with those Deathwing Knights, and obviously, I mean, the Centurions can play, but it's gonna be a long time. So there was a lieutenant in combat with the Deathwing Knights. He just died.
Okay, so that is a headhunter point.
That's a headhunter point. So that's 1. That's not including kill more, or hold more. So there's loads. We're now into the moment.
So I think that's drawn them. So that headhunter point. So this, I think that will get. There we go. So we see the scores live updated there. So assuming Chris has got his hold and kill, that's going to put him on 14, which is drawing. So I think it's going to come down to who's killing more and holding more.
So, okay, so in an amazing display of sportsmanship, Chris forgot to do a charge. Obviously, they're playing super fast at the end. And then Taff was like, no problem, you can go do it, Chris.
Yeah,
get it in.
Big shout out to Taff there, because it could have been easy for him to say no, because it's such a close game. But well played to him for letting his opponent go back.
Excellent work, actually.
Fantastic.
That makes you a legend of the gaming community. There we go, super close, little combat. There he is, the white captain.
Look at his little helmet there. What's he doing there?
Why is his helmet so small?
He's very safety conscious. He's like, boss, put your helmet on. You might get a brain injury. Well, there we go. We've seen that lieutenant lifted. So that's another headhunter. So I think that's won the game for Chris.
Yeah, no, that's the. I think that's the one.
It.
That's the one. Oh, hello, welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed round 1 of the event. So that'll be a win to Dark Angels.
Yes,
that's not
very
what
excited.
I was expecting.
That was not what we were expecting at all.
Not what I was expecting at all.
Particularly when the Raven God plate had first turn, he was able to use Master of Ambush to slingshot one unit of Assault Centurions right forward with his captain, get a turn 1 charge right into the Dark Angels castle, but it just lacked power in that punch.
Yeah. Look, it was good. Honestly, all 3 games were really fun. Like, I had a great round 1. Like, and I'm looking forward. And I'm looking forward to the next round.
Absolutely.
So we're just finding out that old school.
We've just heard.
Okay, so old school happened, which means the win actually went to who we thought it was going to go to.
Okay. Well, that was a bit of a shock. That was still a tense and exciting game anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Last minute upset on the scores.
Last minute upset. Right, Nick, thanks for doing this round with me.
Pleasure.
It's been fun. Round 1, don't forget we've got 5 rounds. There's 2 more rounds today, 2 rounds tomorrow. Check our Twitters and check everything else, all our socials. Don't just click subscribe. Click notify when we go live so you can find out when we're going to and join us for those. Who's going to win? We've seen that some custodians are up there. Tyranids are on some wins at the minute.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see Tyranids next, probably.
Yeah, so join us soon. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys later.